Hypocrisy.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Law-Splaining the Interwebs. I am your host, Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small law firm in Central Minnesota. How are we doing tonight? Oh boy. Excuse me. I'm talking a lot the past couple of days and have a little cough from that. So that's that. I also think I'm realizing that and the chat has properly chastised and made fun of me for this, but I have been using Chrome to broadcast, and I think that is a mistake. So I'm gonna switch to a different browser. What is this? I don't want an email right now. What am I doing? Why do I have all these emails? I don't want them. Be gone, emails. Be gone. You guys probably knew about this, but I think there was a Windows update a couple weeks ago that has been, I thought it was just me. I thought I was dumb and did something wrong. Turns out other people are also having problems that just started up around the same time mine did. So it seems there's some issue, and it appears to maybe be related to Chrome. So I'm either going to switch over to Edge or Brave soon. Not that this matters to y'all, right? Everything's the same for you guys. But that's just how it goes. I do want to, this is too good to, can we just revel in how bad this trial has been lately, the past several days for the prosecution? Just absolutely terrible for the prosecution. Binger and this guy, Kraus. Gosh, I'm finally starting to remember his name, Kraus. What? Nick, you realize you have a... I don't know what that means. What are you talking about? Brutally honest Kanakistani says, I have no idea. Oh. Are you talking about the based granny using the N-word? Is that what you're talking about? I know that's in there. But yeah, but I didn't say it. It's fine. Sorry. I'm trying to figure out what that chat was about. That was a weird chat. Oh, Biden, thank you for posting those links. Let me pin those. All right. So two people who are new to the channel, relatively new. This is not a normal type of show that I would do at night. Normally, the nighttime shows have their own topics. They have their own flow to them. They're a lot different than the daytime panel show because it's me. It's me doing a nightly show. And while the Rittenhouse trial is going on, because there's so many chats and the streams are going so long, I have to break up the time or I will die in the chair. So it gives me an opportunity to, go spend a few hours with my family before the next stream starts. And so that is why I'm breaking up the streams. But typically I do a nighttime show, not a daytime show. It is typically at 11 p.m. Central. And that is its own thing. We cover all sorts of lawsuits. We cover all sorts of news topics. really whatever is catching my eye. And sometimes there are guests, and some of those guests say things that are interesting. Some of those guests say things that are racy. We will, you get a variety here. But welcome to all of the new people who are here, and especially if you came here from the Rittenhouse trial. Uh, don't don't ever listen to Attorney Tom. He's not even real. He's not even a real person. He's he's like what Canada wants to be, which is even worse than what Canada is. So you can't listen to Attorney Tom. But um, but yeah, so that is what is normally happening at this time. But with the Rittenhouse trial, there's so many chats, and my policy is to read all of them. I've gotten some suggestions to axe that policy, but that's how I've been doing things for years, and that's how I intend to keep doing things for now. Um, so that being said, that's what we're doing tonight, along with a recap of what happened earlier today. And earlier today, it was an absolute disaster for the prosecution. There's really, you keep wondering and waiting for the prosecution to get to something that is beneficial to them. And you're like, well, certainly they're going to do something helpful for themselves. Certainly at some point, the testimony is going to be useful to the prosecution. And routinely, so far, the past 4 trial days, that has not been the case. Now, the prosecution did get a win today, but it had nothing to do with their performance or testimony today. The win was that the minor in possession of a firearm charge will not be dismissed by this judge. The and I have not read the briefs. I have not. The judge didn't draft an opinion. He just ruled on the motion and denied it. And he alluded to the argument. And so, what I'm going to do right now, for the benefit of everybody who's been following that issue, was Kyle Rittenhouse a minor in possession of a firearm in violation of the law of Wisconsin on the night of August 25th, moving into the morning of August 26th of 2020? That's the legal question that they're trying to answer. And the defense said, as a matter of law, this needs to be dismissed because Kyle Rittenhouse doesn't qualify. I agree with that read of the law. I think that is the proper read. However, or maybe I should briefly elaborate on why. See, under the statute, I don't remember the statute number, but in subsection 2C, I think it is, maybe it's 3C, might be 3C, doesn't matter. These are just extra details. There is an exception to this law. There's an exception um, when someone is carrying a long barreled rifle or a long barreled shotgun. Long barreled rifle or shotgun is defined as not a short barreled rifle or shotgun. A short barreled rifle or shotgun is something with a barrel length of less than 16 inches or an overall chassis length, chassis and barrel or whatever, of less than 24 inches. And also meets the definition of rifle versus pistol. Some of you may be familiar with AR-15 style pistols or chambered pistols or whatever. They don't have a buttstock. You can use a wrist brace or something else like that if you want. But you can actually fire an AR-15 one-handed pretty easily and fairly accurately. It gets a little heavy, especially if you extend it out all the way. But they're not that unwieldy, and because the gun is relatively meaty, the recoil on them. I also think there's some recoil compensation built in, but I'm not a gun expert. But you can actually do it. Evidence for me is I've done it, and I have little noodly weak arms, so can't be that hard. So anyway, um, that being said, there is an exception built into the law where once you're using a long barrel rifle or long barrel shotgun or holding it, the exception kicks in. And that exception applies to people under 18. And then there's another exception where it kicks out. Okay. And that other exception is for people under 16 and for people who are not in compliance with particular hunting licensure statutes. Okay. So that's that's how it goes. There's an exception when you have a long-barreled rifle or a long-barreled shotgun. And then there's an exception to the exception for people who are under 16 and for who and or for who are not in compliance with hunting statutes. So basically, if you are 16 to 17 years old, you have to only comply with the hunting statutes. The hunting statute in question is merely a it's a clarification of required training for a hunting license or tag, a deer tag, as they would be commonly called here in the Midwest. So basically, the way I read the law, the way a lot of my colleagues that I've talked to about this read the law is simple. If you are not hunting, you cannot be in violation of an improper deer tagging statute. It doesn't make any sense. If you're not tagging a deer, then there's no need to have a deer tagging uh, requirement fulfilled because you're not hunting. You're not actually doing that. So that is what I believe. And the reasons for that, as I've laid out in some other shows, come down to the idea this was revised back in 1992. Um, but it comes down to the idea that they had a dangerous weapon statute, but they really were worried about handguns, knives, and other things being used by gangs in the cities. They were less concerned with kids using rifles out in the country. And so they drew out some little extra things to allow sort of the hunting traditions of Wisconsin and the Midwest in general come to the forefront while still controlling dangerous weapons. One of the dangerous weapons listed specifically in the statute is a nunchuck, which should tell you just how serious this statute actually is, as in not at all, because a nunchuck is a complete meme of a weapon. Don't get me wrong, I like them. They're funny. The demonstration is great. I don't want to get hit by one, but who is honestly walking around nunchucking people to death on the mean streets of Eau Claire, Wisconsin? It's just not a thing that's going on. Maybe in Chippewa, that place is red pilled. But other than that, this is not a real thing going on, right? Like this is not a grave concern for the most part in the statute. It's made to grab handguns from gang members who are underage in the major urban areas of Wisconsin. That's what they're there for. Milwaukee, Green Bay, places like that. So, with that said, the way I read the law, 16 and 17-year-olds have a general exemption when they're using rifles so long as they're not hunting improperly. Kyle was only hunting pedophiles, and it's open season on them in Wisconsin. There are no tagging requirements. Tagging is done by the coroner. So, that being said, I believe this charge should be dismissed as a matter of law. The jury instructions for this charge are you under 18 and are you carrying a dangerous weapon as defined by the statute, which includes any firearm? So, that being said, Kyle is guilty of that if that's the jury instruction. That's why this needs to be taken care of as a matter of law. It's not a fact question for the jury. The facts are plainly apparent. What is the age, and then are they in possession of this weapon? If you start trying to get juries to make legal conclusions based on exceptions to the law, you get wacky results because juries aren't there to make legal conclusions. Juries are there to determine what facts exist in a case. That is their role. They are a fact finder. The judge is the law applier. So, like a Markiplier, but for law and less subscribers. So that's what's going on in a jury situation. Now, with the lack of dismissal of this charge, Kyle is faced with the jury questions of was he under 18? Did he possess was he in possession of a firearm? Pretty obvious. We know Kyle was 17. That's been testified to, I believe. And then was he in possession? Well, possession almost always is encompassed by it being in your hands for a non-incidental amount of time. Kyle had the weapon all night. This is not about ownership. This is about possession. Okay. So that being said, that's now the issue for the jury. There was an argument today after the judge dismissed, shouldn't say there was an argument. There's a precursor to an argument today after that charge was not dismissed, in which we get a glimpse of what is coming next and the reasons that the judge did not dismiss it. He referenced that Mr. Krause, that's the big boy, that's this guy. He said that Mr. Krause made a compelling argument in his brief. Now, I remember the pretrial motions in which they had oral argument over this very issue. And Krause's main statement was, this is a jury question, because Krause is frankly a fucking moron. But he's a fucking moron who works for the state. And if you're a fucking moron who works for the state, you get the full weight of the state behind your fucking moronity. So he is a fucking moron. He's wrong on the law on this, but he was able to persuade the judge, according to the judge, by his very persuasive brief today, that this is a jury question. So, as this will now go to jury, we can infer that that is the reason that the judge was granting this. That was his argument at oral argument. We can presume that's what was in his brief, is that this is a question for the jury, a question of fact, not law. Again, it's incomprehensible how that is the conclusion, but that is the conclusion. So what Michael Shirafisi said, and this is the other clue that we have to this being the reason, is that they will be now arguing for a modified jury instruction on the issue. And they didn't lay out, of course, in court today what that modified jury instruction would be. However, that jury instruction, we can presume, will include some instruction to instruct the jury on the exceptions to the law that are written in the statute. Of course, the state is going to oppose the modified jury instruction, and they're going to pretend that the exceptions that are in the statute, by the way, Krause argued that those exceptions in the statute were jury questions as well, but they're going to now argue that those exceptions that are written into the statute don't matter and shouldn't be included in a jury instruction. Because again, Krause is a fucking moron, but he does have the state behind him. Have I clarified that I think that Assistant District Attorney Krause over in Kenosha, Wisconsin is a fucking moron? I think the guy's awful. But that being said, that is a major issue. It was a win for the prosecution today. It should be acknowledged. It should be known. And I don't know that we focused enough on that during the panel because of what was going on in the courtroom. And plus, I've just spent the last like 8 minutes just without interruption describing that. And I also used a significant amount of profanity. So that being said, that is something I wanted to talk about on the recap today, and I wanted to get to it early while I'm thinking about it because it's an important piece that has happened, and we didn't discuss it too much on the panel. Now, this does not mean that Kyle will automatically be found guilty because we don't know how the jury will rule on it. And if the jury is mad about other charges, they can just nullify this charge by saying he's not guilty on all charges. They can do that. The other major legal event that happened in the courtroom today is, of course, the judge did dismiss the curfew charge. So now the curfew is irrelevant to the considerations. It should be irrelevant to the considerations of the other charges. That has been one of the clarion calls of the left. Not the left. I shouldn't generalize it that much. The particular group of people tending to be on the left that are opposed to Kyle Rittenhouse. Okay. One of their clarion calls is that he was out past curfew, therefore he was committing a crime or engaged in a criminal activity, therefore he would lose his right to self-defense. And I must clarify, I don't know what brainlet came up with that argument that when you are committing a criminal activity, you automatically forfeit your right to self-defense. But I'm going to suggest that whatever brainlet that was that came up with that idea was actually misreading the Wisconsin self-defense statute. And this, we went over this on stream the other day. I think this was Sunday with Robert Grueller, where we read through, and that forfeiture does not mean that you forfeit the right to self defense. It means you forfeit your presumptions to self defense under the Wisconsin Castle Doctrine, which is not at play here because Kyle was not at a dwelling at the time that he made the shootings or his place of business. Even if you argue he's an agent at CarSource, he was still not at his place of business. And again, none of this matters because that is merely a presumption that he's acting in self-defense that he would be entitled to otherwise. If you're in Wisconsin, if you're in your home, and if you're at your place of business, then you are presumed to be acting in self-defense unless some exceptions apply because you're at your home. Someone's coming into your space. Someone's coming into your territory. And so that's what's going on. But the curfew is not now gone, even though the curfew would not have been a criminal activity, I don't think, under the actual code, as I think it was a civil violation, which is how they tried to get around the blatant unconstitutionality of issuing a curfew in the first place. And I think it was still struck down by another court. So the curfew issue is out. What else? What else? Those are the two major legal conclusions today. And we have not had a ton of legal conclusions other than the objections that happen throughout the course of the trial. Generally, we haven't had major legal rulings on counts since the trial began. So this is big news. All right. So what stood out to me about today, and I will start on the chats in just 1 second because that is the primary purpose of this after the recap is to get all those chats taken care of. Stood out to me are three main pieces of testimony. The three most important are the medical examiner, which was the prosecution's witness. Then we had Graham with a oh my gosh, these kids. Just a second, guys. I'll be right back. Okay. I have a 6-year-old who is borderline inconsolably angry at my 8-year-old because the 8-year-old is talking about a Minecraft server that she and her older brothers will make at some indeterminate point in the future. And that Minecraft server is not up to the specifications and standards of my 6-year-old. Like, this is in the future? In the future? Address the MSNBC coverage? What MSNBC coverage? Let's see. Um, okay. That being said, uh, back to it. Back to it. So, medical examiner's testimony, Graham's testimony, and then finally the testimony of uh Photochad is what we're calling him. MSNBC literally lying today. I mean, MSNBC literally lying all the time. But I didn't know this was news. But anyway, yes, Photochad. So big hits from the medical examiner. Excellent cross by Mark Richards. Again, lots of people have had negative opinions of Richards, and because of his opening statement and maybe his first day of witness testimony, which was not solid, not the solidest thing that had happened probably in his career, but he has since, and Michael Shirafisi had been doing cross since then for the most part. But today, Richards took over on the medical examiner, and he did a phenomenal job nailing the fact expert witness on facts, nailing him on these facts, pinning down the things that the state did not want him to say. The things like based on stippling, which we knew from jury selection was probably going to become an issue in this thing. And just the fact that there is stippling at all should have told everybody that these shots were fired at extremely close range. So that should go ahead and lend towards self-defense just as at the outset. But the stippling issue that was brought up is that Joseph Rosenbaum was shot 4 times. He was shot once in the pelvis, the right side pelvis, I believe. He was shot in the left hand. He also had a wound to his right thigh, which looks to be a shrapnel or piece of fragmentation from the bullet striking the ground. But it's the bullet. It's presumed to be the bullet that went through his hand, and it came in at a downward angle this way, or I guess it came across his middle finger into here, right, and then out this side. Blew out the side of his hand, and then that seemed to travel downward into the ground, striking the asphalt, fragmenting at some point after that, and then either I think a fragment of the bullet is what the medical examiner testified that he was able to recover from the leg wound. Then after that, there is a grazing back to front wound on the head of Rosenbaum. And finally, the fatal shot was one that entered his back. Looks like about the rhomboid area. Maybe I think it was on his left side and then traveled downward into his liver. I have shots travel downward into my liver with relative frequency, and I don't die from them yet, but that is what appears to have happened there. Oh, also, it's important to note that the pelvis shot did shatter the pelvis bone and lost enough of its velocity that it was not able to penetrate out through the ass cheek of Rosenbaum. So he literally died with a bullet in his ass. So the that's the nature of the wounds. So the important parts about that ended up with the initial shot being to the pelvis. And there was, or well, actually it's not clear whether the initial shot was to the pelvis or to the hand. We know that the pelvis and the hand were likely, with some degree of certainty, the first two shots, but we're not sure which ones were actually in what order. However, there was significant stippling around the pelvis, and this was the first one described, so I'm going to talk about it first. Significant stippling around the pelvis. Stippling is gunpowder or other debris. There's different types of stippling, but we're going to just keep it general. Gunpowder or other debris from the shot that carries with it a sufficient amount of velocity to actually cause a pattern on the skin, usually due to particles being embedded in the skin. Um, Rosenbaum had stippling near the pelvis shot, which indicated, according to the medical examiner, that he was at an intermediate range, which he described as something less than 4 feet. I'm not sure how that's intermediate, but it is 4 feet or less from the barrel of the gun, from the muzzle, right? Because the medical examiner said that the particulate matter that comes out of the muzzle loses velocity very quickly, as it's not particularly aerodynamic. It's also not very heavy. So it, the resistance against even the friction of it traveling through atmosphere will slow it down pretty dramatically. Think of throwing like a shuttlecock, mainly because I wanted to say a shuttlecock from like badminton or whatever. Is badminton shuttlecock? Can I say shuttlecock again, or do I have to say birdie? Whatever it is, that's the idea. This thing, or a wiffle ball, right? These things kind of fizzle out. Um, so that's the idea on the first shot. There was significant stippling on the lower abdomen, but it stopped at the waistline. And the mystery, of course, is why it stopped. And that mystery is solved by the obvious answer. He was still wearing pants because there were no children present for Joseph Rosenbaum to attempt to violate. So his pants were still on, even though his shirt was not. So the stippling was limited to his torso and not down on his pelvis and leg areas. Moving on to the next shot, there was not only significant stippling from gunpowder, but also significant stippling from what the doctor described as soot. And he indicated that the presence of soot indicated a very close proximity to somewhere within inches to even perhaps touching the barrel of the gun. And this was not just the barrel, touching the end of the barrel. It's not like his hand is past the barrel and he's trying to bukkake bullets onto his face. This is not what's going on. He is reaching out with his palm in some fashion like this, as he would to reach for a gun. And the barrel left a significant amount of soot residue on his fingers and hand area. All right. So, that being said, we know that the gun was in very, very close proximity to Joseph Rosenbaum's hand, as if he was, reaching for the gun, which is a reasonable conclusion to draw from this. And that is very important because that is some big contributing factor of reasonable doubt. Now, the prosecution tried to categorize this as, I don't know, swatting, literally attempting to swat the bullet away like a ninja or something. I'm not sure. He's like, is this consistent with the idea of using a hand to make a swiping motion? Like, is he slapping bullets? I mean, I saw Last Dragon and I was impressed when he elbow struck arrows in half, but I don't think we're talking about someone who's slapping bullets out of the air. But okay, that's it. Now he's trying to swipe the gun or whatever. Kraus is just fucking idiot. Oh, it's infuriating. It is infuriating. But again, we saw the soot burns there. Now, importantly, and this came up when Binger pressed on this issue, there was no soot on the baby finger, as he called it, the pinky finger, the little finger, whatever you want to call that. There was no soot present here. All of the soot and stippling started on these fingers and moved this way, which means that not only was his hand sufficiently close to the barrel had to be past this finger to otherwise there would be stippling on it. So we know that his hand was directly over the barrel of the gun and very likely in some level of contact or very close to contact with it. But so much so that it is past this area and coming this way. So that was a huge, huge thing for Binger to draw out of the medical examiner. And it's a careful attention to detail that elicited that fact. And that is really exactly what they're looking for. So those are the big things there, that the pelvis shot is within 4 feet of the gun and that the hand is within inches of the gun. Moving on to the other 2 wounds, we don't know the timing of these wounds either, but there is a back to front wound on the head and the wound in the back. Okay, so they talked about the back to front wound on the head third. That's what I'll refer to it as, even though we don't know the order of the shots. It is most likely either 3 or 4, but we're not sure which one, and no one can testify to which one. No one, it's an unknowable. But the reason it has a back to forward trajectory, as testified by the medical examiner and as is plainly obvious from the evidence, is because Joseph Rosenbaum lunges forward and collapses forward. He is, whether he does it on his own volition or in the far less likely scenario that is attempting to be forwarded by the state, they have suggested that he was struck in the pelvis, which forced him to stumble forward, that is what caused him to fall forward. But I want you to think of the ludicrous nature of what has happened. The 3 shots that occur, or the 4 shots that occur from Kyle Rittenhouse, occur in 3 quarters of a second, 0.76. If we take that and divide it by 4, we get something like what, 0.18 or 0.19 of a second per shot. Should I figure this out here? My math skills are way off. So 0.76 divided by 4, 0.19. Okay, so we have 19 hundredths of a second between shots. Now we know that 2 shots would have to occur before the third shot could be fired. So depending on whether the third shot is the head shot or the back shot, we know that 2 shots at an average of 0.19 seconds have been fired. Now, John Black will testify further to exactly how much time elapsed between each one, but we've got a maximum of 0.38 seconds happening between shot 0 and shot 3. Because we start at 0, we add 0.19 for the second shot, and then 0.19 for the third shot, which means that for the assuming shot 0 is the one that strikes the pelvis, that in less than 4/100ths or 4/10ths of a second, that that Rosenbaum is collapsing forward enough for a bullet to go this way or into his back. This is obviously not caused by Rosenbaum being shot in the pelvis. No, there is no way. I challenge people to fall in 4/10ths of a second. I challenge you to do it. It is tough to do without being shot. That's my personal thing. This was not testified to. John Black will be testifying to the timings again. I'm just trying to work this out as a person thinking rationally through the issue. So because the argument from the state is, well, he was shot in the pelvis, that caused him to collapse, and then Kyle Rittenhouse took masterful aim and shot him twice more on the way down in the next 0.38 seconds that would follow. So, okay. Or it's 0.223. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. Let me clarify. Thank you for that, chat. Again, it's been a long day. So we've got less than half a second then, because if it's 0.223 seconds, then we've got 0.446 seconds for the first two shots. Thank you for clarifying that. Still, I challenge you to fall to the floor, fall to the ground. Now, Rosenbaum, he does have an advantage on reaching the ground before many people because he is short, as Binger has pointed out several times, to try and convince the jury that a 5'3" or 5'4", 150-pound man is not a threat to anybody. And I would suggest that there are men of comparable size who are very, very threatening. You look at someone like Conor McGregor, who is a professional fighter and would certainly be a formidable opponent, even for someone who was like my height, 6'2", 6'3". Conor McGregor, I would certainly have a reach advantage, but he's got much better muscular structures and much more training than I do. He's also a good deal younger, I believe, still. But that being said, uh, the whole notion that this guy was shot in the pelvis and that forced him to fall, and he made it down in less than half a second while being shot in the head and back is ludicrous. That's the case. It seems like he's coming down at Kyle. He's lunging forward, and that has caused his downward motion to start well before he is hit. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. But that being said, the final shot that they talked about, they did not discuss any stippling on the grazing wound, and they did not discuss, I don't believe, any stippling on the other wound. Not positive on that. It's hazy to me now on the back wound. But the more concerning thing is that the back wound is the wound that is the fatal one. And the most important part from that testimony was that it traveled horizontally through his body, that brilliant big boy Krause described as being perpendicular to the ground when he meant this. Your government hiring policies at work. Krause has been a prosecutor in the Kenosha office since 2008. Whew. But he did suggest that Joseph Rosenbaum was perpendicular to the ground as he was falling forward onto his face. So that was huge testimony. In all honesty, that was absolutely huge testimony to come out, and Richards is responsible for getting that good testimony out there about the stippling, something that the state was really not wanting to put forward into concrete words. Then there was a weird thing with demonstrations. That doesn't matter. What matters are the 4 bullets. Huber is no surprise. Huber was shot at very close range. There was residue on his clothes and light stippling around the wound. The wound was a shot directly into the heart and lung. They suggested that his heart was destroyed by the shot, so that did not go well for Anthony Huber. And well, I'm not all that broken up about it. I'm not all that broken up about it at all. All at all. That is just that's just how it goes. When you go up and you attempt to strike someone who's wielding a firearm, you will find out. You will find out. But he died very, very quickly. And there I've done an anatomical shooting course, and there are certain parts of the body where you can shoot, and there are several lethal spots, right? But there are some that are quicker in their lethality, and the upper part of the heart and the veins and arteries, I guess the arteries just above it, where it tends to pump, though that area is extremely vulnerable, because when you hit that area, the blood pumps out directly from the heart very quickly, and you bleed out very fast. And they suggested that he had a significant amount of blood inside of his body. Yes, these are professionals. And I don't know about you. I have a significant amount of blood inside my body, but we know what they actually meant. Lots of blood inside his body, but not inside the veins and arteries where they belong. So Huber died very quickly. Um, Rosenbaum took a little while to die, and we saw that on video several times because Binger made us watch it several times. Um, that was the medical examiner testimony. Phenomenal for the defense. Not really great for the state. Um, the medical examiner shut down several theories that Krauss had put forward, and then they moved on. Once the state closed its case, it was time for the defense to bring in their witnesses. The first witness of note to me was Grambo. She was an elderly, not super elderly, a late middle-aged woman. I think she said she was 56 years old. That's not even that late middle age. I say that as someone who's about to be 40 and in denial about the realities of age. 56 is not all that old, but it's not young. She's not spry either. But um, she was there along with other people like Kyle Rittenhouse, and she was a nightmare for the prosecution. She was likable. She was very Midwestern. She was matter of fact. And most importantly, she told the state they were wrong several times about just how things work. Wrong about that. Nope, that's not true. No, I didn't do that. No, I didn't say that. And those things were that's just not what you want to have happen most of the time. I guess you could design your questioning that way. It was not designed that way today. Her notable moment for me was when she apologized to the judge in advance, and she dropped an MF bomb followed by the big N bomb, straight faced, and the judge had nothing to say about the problems with that. The other guy was reprimanded for saying a-holes on stand. The judge reminded him he was in court. She dropped the hard R N word and the motherfucker, which was phenomenal. It's phenomenal to see that. But of course, this is based grandma. She is doing this in quoting Joseph Rosenbaum. She's quoting directly Joseph Rosenbaum, testifying to exactly what was being, or no, I don't know if she was quoting Rosenbaum. She might have been at the time, but if she's not quoting him directly, she's quoting the crowd and the things that they're saying at her. And she talked about just how hostile the crowd was, despite the fact that they were there to protect their businesses. Now, one of the interesting exchanges occurred when the state's attorney was asking her about the guns, trying to get her to say that handguns are different. This is Binger at the time, that handguns are different than rifles. And she said they do the same thing. She was carrying a 380 open carry. She testified that she did not intend to utilize the gun against another person, but rather that the mere presence, the visible presence of the gun, acted as a sufficient deterrent in her mind. And, well, despite the fact that it is specious reasoning to argue so, she was not chased down, attacked, or killed or anything like that during the event. So maybe it was effective for her. And that is one of the things that the defense did very well today. They're asking all of these witnesses, were you chased at? Did anybody threaten to kill you? Did anybody run after you and try to take your gun? And their answers are no, drawing a clear distinction between their situation and Kyle's. But yes, a gun's a gun was her great quote, and she did well on the stand. And that's a nightmare of someone you have to cross examine, because you can't be mean to an old grandma. It just doesn't play well. That may not be fair, but it's true. It's true, especially when she's nice. And this lady came across as very nice and genuine. She was just there to help out. They also brought in another guy briefly to just blow out the Indian brothers' testimony, the Car Source brothers. Their testimony was basically annihilated by this guy who came across as much more credible, even though he looked like a serial murderer. He had Steve Buscemi eyes, someone said in the chat, and I agree with that. Constantly on the verge of tears. But Oh, and yeah, he looked like a blonde Brendan Fraser. Someone else mentioned that. This is true. This is true. But he came across with direct answers that he was very confident in. He seemed credible. And he said, yeah, Sal and Sam were driving us to the places. They gave us the keys. They let us in. They gave us a ladder to get on the roof. All of this stuff he put forward. And it doesn't legally invalidate their testimony, but it sure makes it look bad because they look like they're lying and the other guy looked like he was telling the truth. So that's the important aspect of what happened there. But that was a very short piece of testimony. The final one was harder to explain. I won't spend much time on it because I've been rambling for a long time. But we're talking, of course, about Photochad. Photochad was a photographer there on scene, an independent photographer there on scene in Kenosha on the night. And he had, how do we say, a speech impediment. He had a speech impediment. And to me, and please don't take this in any improper way. It is not meant to be offensive or anything to anyone, but he came across as what would be stereotypically autistic. I don't know if the guy is on the autism spectrum in any significant capacity, but he came across that way in the way he communicated. And it's an easy way to sort of relate that. He was very, very literal. He was very direct, and he did not elaborate much beyond the scope of what was specifically asked to him. Weeabu says, it's okay, Rackets. Autism isn't a bad thing. I agree that it's not a bad thing, but some people, just based on how the internet works and jokes and stuff, will take it that way. I don't mean it in a joking or derogatory manner. I just want to be clear on that in this case. I will, when we're talking about autism as a joke, believe me, I got jokes for days. Yes, I mean literal 24-hour cycles in which I will tell jokes repeatedly the entire time to you autismos out there. This guy, I'm just trying to describe his manner of communication, and it came across that way. The state attempted in devastating error, they attempted to treat him because of his manner of communication as if he was a moron. Literally tried to treat him like he was a moron. The funniest thing is that was probably next to the judge, the smartest guy in the entire room. And he walked circles around, and those are big circles around ADA Kraus. I mean, he is orbiting this behemoth, this titan of law. He is just stuck in orbit around this guy, but he doesn't even care because all of that circling, Kraus could not do anything. And he made it look like whether true or not, we actually have no idea if this is true or not, but he made it look like Kraus and Binger engaged in borderline uh conduct unbecoming of an attorney and certainly a state employee attorney. He made it seem like they were trying to suborn perjury, asking him to change his statement. Now, did they actually ask him to change his statement? After an hour of cross-examination on that issue, I still don't know. I still don't know if they meant change in a shady way or if they just meant to add something to the statement in a conversational way. I don't know because they bumbled this so bad, but they spent an hour focusing on the part where they tried to manipulate a perceived simpleton into changing his sworn testimony. And it was magical to watch him do this and to watch these prosecutors, particularly ADA Kraus, to watch them just struggle and stumble through this guy. Oh my gosh, it was great. It was great. So, and that just it exposed a couple things. One, that is a rookie mistake in lawyering, is to assume the capacity or intelligence of the other party. That is just a rookie thing to do. You don't know this person. And if you just think that because you have some fucking law degree that you're some hotshot thinker and that this person isn't, you're gonna be found to be wrong. You'll be found to be wrong. Lawyers think in particular ways. The LSAT actually screens for a particular method of thinking, not the smartest person. It's not what the LSAT is designed to do. The LSAT is designed to find fast problem solvers of particular logical issues. That's it. Can you read and synthesize information and come up to a logical conclusion in the way that we want in a short amount of time? That's the type of thinker the LSAT screens for, and that because that's the type of thinker that will succeed in law school. Doesn't mean that they'll be a good or bad lawyer. That's all it means. This is most likely to succeed in law school because that's what you're doing in law school, consuming a ton of information, synthesizing it, and spitting out logical results. Okay. That doesn't mean lawyers are smart. And lawyers forget that a lot. Very, very often they become disillusioned about their own intelligence because they passed a test and then they earned the right to pay some school a house's worth of money to then get a profession that that they might make it back in. So that's the first mistake. The second mistake, other than it just being a rookie move to do this, to assume the intelligence of the other party based on some perceived thing. They look like fucking assholes. I mean, oh my gosh. What I'm saying is that whole perceived intelligence thing, right? They then applied that perception, their own preconception of this person's cognitive ability, and tried to manipulate him. They tried to manipulate him and trip him up based on that perception. Wow. What a shit show that ended up being. Oh. It made them look like scumbags and oh my god. It made them look like scumbags because they were scumbags. Okay. Okay. So, that being said, all around a win for the defense. All right. Now I suppose it's time to do this. To do the super chats. There's a problem with doing the super chats. Yes, we're implied they stop being scumbags. Thank you. There's a problem with the super chats. So during the show today, 750 super chats came in, which I am very, very thankful for. But that's now many of them have been eliminated based on the amounts, but the overwhelming majority have not. So, ooh, boy, we're going to have to see how that goes. Plus, we've got the ones from tonight that have already happened. So, I'm going to get started, but I am going to read the $20 ones from tonight, as is custom, and then we're going to just start going through there. I don't know how fast, how far we're going to get. I can't imagine finishing, but I'm gonna give it a grade A try, and then I will mark my spot, and then maybe we'll carry it in, or maybe we'll have to figure something else out. I don't know. The problem I'm having is I'm running out of time. I don't have time between the shows to do it either. Okay. Ed2276 First Amendment Law says the judge dismissed the curfew issue. Prosecutors asserted on cross of defense witness they had violated curfew. The jury may infer that Kyle had also violated curfew, skirting judge dismissal of issue. Why no sanctions? No sanctions because there was no objection. Uncivil law, don't make me time you out. No spamming, good sir. No spamming, good sir. Yeah, no sanctions. No one called it out. That's the big problem. The defense was asleep. I think I yelled when he said it that they can't raise the curfew issue. It's been dismissed. But the defense did not. The denialist says, as Shirafisi. Here we go. So I'm doing this as Shirafisi. Grambo and Photochad were the best part of today. So that was Shirafisi staying away from the mic and looking in a random direction. Jason Smoot says, great coverage this week. Have a shot with me. One. I will do one. The show has evolved so quickly in the past couple days that I've had to modify how I do everything. Like my drinking game, I can't do it. I'd be dead. I'd be already dead. Mark G. So I just poured my shot of Rittenhouse rye. Thank you. Mark Gee says, this man needs a bag of Krigler coffee for staying up so late to read all the super chats. Krigler coffee is the best coffee, and hope to see you on Adam's show again. Gladly will do it anytime after the Rittenhouse trial. William Smith says, shout out to John Moses Browning, legendary firearms designer who invented the recoil compensation thing built into it Nick mentioned earlier, aka semi-automatic action, you brainlet. I told you I'm not a gun. I like guns, but I do not proclaim to be an expert. That's the best thing. When I say something about guns, you know it's being said by someone who doesn't really know anything about it. So if I know it, then it should be common knowledge at that point. Next week, thank you for calling me a brainlet. I feel properly chastised, and I will go think about my poor actions. Vienna waits for you, says, fortunately for Kyle and Second Amendment rights, Kenosha couldn't find a better overweight, premature, balding prosecutor with bad eyesight than James Krause. Shell the Third says, was listening while working. I almost lost my shit at Grambo. Got Minecrafted by Agent 47. 2% right says, dear Rackets, please pimp Confinement Con in Richard's voice. Include weekend of the February 25th, Lebanon, Tennessee, sci-fi fantasy, and confinementcon.org. Embellish as you wish for laughs. Thanks, and keep up doing the good work. Your Honor, I'm going to have to move to order the entire jury, audience, and the other counsel over to Lebanon, Tennessee, Confinement Con, Your Honor. It's a sci-fi fantasy, like hobbits in space sort of thing, convention. And it's the weekend of February 25th. And confinementcon.org is where they should be going. There you go. Hope that worked for you. Hope you were able to finish in that time. Random Blaze says, I agree with you. Photochad seemed to be a low spectrum autistic with eidetic memory that seemed to be triggered by photos and video. When do we get our 18,000 like drinks? You might need a few more bottles of Rittenhouse rye. A few more weeks. Snuggle Struggle says, sending you some love. Your coverage of Kyle's trial has destroyed the narrative the MSM is still posting as of now. Thank you. A young man is being wrongfully politically persecuted to appease the mob, not prosecuted. Yes, I agree with that. Also, Queen Nidus says, what will happen now that someone was found to have been recording the members of the jury? How many months of riots are we getting? There hasn't been any riots or protests outside of the courtroom. So I don't know that we're going to get that much out of this. But, if Kyle walks, I think we do. I think we do. But they really have not organized outside of the courtroom, which is kind of surprising. But they what will happen now, what did happen is the recording was allegedly deleted from the device that was used to take it. According to the judge, that's what occurred, and it sounds like they will now move into an alternative protocol. What appeared to be happening, their security protocol appeared to be this, and this is as boomerific as it gets. But it appeared to be that the jurors would convene at some undisclosed location that was not the courthouse, and then a bus would go to that location, pick them up, and take them to the courthouse. This is what boomer security looks like. That somehow was supposed to ensure the jurors' safety and anonymity. Of course, the problem with this being that those jurors would all get into said bus and be transported back to that location for their vehicles. And it was at some point during the transportation, either the loading or the unloading of the jury at one of these places, that a video was allegedly taken. The video was not taken in the courtroom. But that is what the court appears to have put in place. And the judge did allude to specific procedures that they have to keep jurors anonymous. That seems to be what it was. But I'm basing that on literally nothing other than the facts of there being a bus, all of the jurors in one place outside of the court, that someone was able to take this video. That tells me that I think I figured out their security process. And if me, who does not do security in any way, came up with that from those few facts, guess what? Someone just figured out, oh, if in the evening I just wait and follow the giant fucking bus that leaves the courthouse, I'll probably find the jury. Oh, good job. Way to go, Kenosha, Wisconsin. You guys nailed it. You definitely kept that jury secret and kept it safe. Gandalf is rolling in his grave right now, but James Carg says, the more I hear and see of this, the more I know we need legal seminars in schools about court process and civic codes, what to do and really not do, etc. I'm hurting just watching these goof ups, and you must be too, huh? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I am. I am in pain. Consistent pain from at first I was in pain from the defense, and still sometimes I am, but the prosecution has been I need I don't know, Percocet or something to recover. Can't have fentanyl anymore. If you have fentanyl, a cop will kneel on you. Very unsafe. That's a joke. We joke about the dead and the living. All right. Now on to the chats, and we'll read through them. Got just under 2 hours of reading. Let's see. Macca Jr. says, trying to catch up on your streams. The blood evidence chick's mouth had a built-in grape whistle. Oh, wait, I read that one. Richard Grubber read that one. Devious Smile. See, some of these did get read. Littlefinger and Varys. Wolfgang Deo says, started off my day with Michael Knowles. Your clip. Shady J says, how's it going today, Nick? Thank you for streaming this, man. Also, check out the Public Freakout subreddit. Post of you guys sitting at 38K upvotes. Might get deleted by mods. Squizgar says, on time, impossible. Liam Hemmings says, English lawyer watching from France. Fascinating trial. Great judge. Let's go, Brandon. Yes, thank you, Liam. France, huh? Man, I want to go back to France, but I think I'm going to wait until Notre Dame's open in 2024. I think they said. I want to take the missus over there. I've been there. I've been to Paris a couple times, and looking for answers to questions that bothered me so, but she has not. Kyra says, how many characters are there now in this anime series? Photochad, Grambo, Meal Team 6, Juan Wick. Who am I missing? Lol. well, you've got Littlefinger and Varus, the evil agents of the state. You've got Hitman Agent 47 is Sheriff Fisi. And then you've got Mark Richards. And the judge. The judge is do you remember in Game of Thrones when the fucking kid Brand or whatever goes to that tree with the old man who can see everything? That's who I think the judge is. Oh yeah. The big boy is actually Fatlock. Fatlock, we've got Jump Kick Man, we got Yellow Pants Man. All of that. It's great. Yeah, the Blood Raven. The Blood Raven. That's who the judge reminds me of, because he knows everything. He's got a story for everything. Oh, how tedious. PA Grunt says Twitter and legacy media flat out lying and distorting facts. Shocker. It's okay. You guys know where to watch it, and you guys know where to tell people to watch it. And if they don't want my commentary and the commentary of the panel, which I love, the commentary of me and the panel, mostly me. Let's be honest. I'm narcissistic. But no, I'm kidding. The panel's fantastic. If they don't want the commentary, they could also just watch Law and Crime. Don't listen to the media. Stop listening to these people. They lie about everything. And if they're lying about this so badly, what else are they lying about? The answer is yes. The answer is yes. Really now says, have to say your coverage has been far better than MSM and a welcome change. I look forward to seeing you seeing you on Tim Pool. Yeah, well, maybe. Bird Bath Bash says, since Kyle is so recognizable, any advice for how he safely gets back to his life, assuming acquittal? No. I think what Kyle needs to do is apply himself in a manner of pursuing people who will support him. Whether he maybe he does maybe he's the new fucking what was his name? His name is also Kyle, but he lost his gun rights because of a stupid felony charge that he got. He's now on PKA. The Russian. He reviews guns. What's his name? Why can't I think of it? He used to do a YouTube. FPS Russia. Thank you. Oh, sorry, man. I loved that show. I really did. Guys, it's been a long week. Yeah, FPS Russia. If Kyle, if Based Rittenhouse started doing gun reviews on YouTube or something like that, I think he could find a big following very, very quickly of supporters. But he may not want to. That's the thing. He may have significant trauma from this event, and he may not be all that interested in guns after it. It's hard to say. But I think he can establish himself very well with either employment that would find him from someone sympathetic to his situation, or by pursuing it on his own on something like YouTube or TikTok or whatever next viral media there is. And take it from me, it is possible to carve out a living on a place like that, and he would have a huge jump start. And that's the hardest part of YouTube, is getting or whatever, is getting that initial notice sufficient to build a platform and start reaching out organically through the network of people who follow you. You know, when you get up to 1,000, then 5,000, then 10,000, then 50,000 people who are following you, you start to grow in organic ways because your network, who is sharing and reaching out to other people and talking about it, grows with you. So I think with Rittenhouse, you know, imagine if he started a YouTube gun review channel tomorrow, he'd have 100,000 subscribers in what, like a day? It'd be amazing. It'd be amazing. He'd be million plus subscribers in a week, a month, maybe. Because he'd be able to go on every show that he wanted to. He could come on my show. He could go on probably on Tim Pool's show. He could probably go on much bigger shows than that, and say, hey, oh, by the way, I'm starting a channel. I want to educate people on gun safety and self defense. Whew, whew. I'd watch it. I'd sub. I wouldn't simp though. Really now says, whatever that means. I know the question has been raised about the ADA straight lying. Given the high profile nature of the case and the damage done to Kyle, could they go after civil damages? It's really, really unlikely. It's really, really unlikely. It's going to be any civil case. And Ron Coleman, who is a guys, I don't know, and I'm gonna sound gay or whatever here, but that's fine. Ron Coleman came on the stream today, and the level of the caliber, I guess, of guests that we had on the show today. I mean, we always have good guests who are very knowledgeable, but we had two extremely high profile, nationally recognized attorneys on the show today who are practicing at some of the highest levels of civil and criminal litigation. Ron Coleman being a civil litigator who represents people. Again, this is, if people don't know, he works with Harmeet Dillon. Harmeet Dillon is the Dillon Law Group is the law firm that represented James Damore against Google. They go after governments. They protect First Amendment rights. Ron Coleman himself represents Gavin McInnes in a case that's now over 2 years old against the Anti-Defamation League. These are national attention cases. These guys go on to Fox News and talk. Ron Coleman, Robert Barnes. They're going to be guys who show up on mainstream media as well as alternative media and are nationally recognized people. They were here talking about this case today, and that blows me away. Like, Ron Coleman has a criminally small YouTube channel, but on Twitter, he has a massive following because of the major and significant work that he does. Robert Barnes, he's kind of roped in with Viva on YouTube, although he does have his own channel, of course. But I mean, he is out there doing national level civil and criminal litigation. He talks frequently about his representation of Wesley Snipes on some of his tax issues. He was representing some of the Kentucky kids who were not Kyle Rittenhouse, or not Kyle Rittenhouse, Nicholas Sandmann. He's done other significant things. Again, this is I just wanted to impress upon that as I go into the next point, where I asked Ron Coleman, because he is a civil litigation expert, especially in these types of situations. And in fact, Ron Coleman, for a period of, he said, about 6 weeks, was actually representing Kyle Rittenhouse on potential defamation matters during the Lynn Wood thing, before that started to fracture and fall apart with Lynn Wood and John Pierce, before they were removed. Ron Coleman withdrew himself as that situation was starting to show cracks and then eventually crumble. But I mean, we're talking, again, these are guys who would be representing them on this case. He suggested that Kyle really does not have strong civil litigation claims following this. Maybe against the attorney's office based on how they continue to proceed, but on defamation claims, almost no chance. So that is that is just a fantastic thing. I don't know if everybody who watches YouTube, because he's not a primary YouTuber, knew who Ron Coleman was, and I didn't want to gush over him, during the thing. Oh, and if you guys don't know, I've interviewed Ron on the show, and he pointed out one of the first interactions that I sort of had with him, even though it was completely detached. I reviewed his Gavin McInnes lawsuit, and I tore it to shreds. I think my line, my most prominent line from that review of the lawsuit, and I didn't know who he was at all. I didn't even know he wrote it. I said, I said, a cell phone with autocorrect could write a better complaint at this point. But Ron's a very good sport about it. And I told him, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong about it. But he's the one actually doing it. That case is still pending, I believe. But that being said, it's just funny how everything kind of works out in this sphere. But yeah, Ron suggested very little in the realm of civil litigation, and he writes books on the subject. Next, Duper Da says, "Do you think Kyle naming his channel the Kenosha Kid would be too spicy?" Maybe pedo perforator would be better. Can't do pedo perforator. You can't have pedo in a title on YouTube. They'll demonetize everything everything ever. Ryan K says you're also being mentioned by people like Jack Posobiec. Yeah, I have recently. It's kind of surreal and fun, but we'll see till they review some of my whiskey streams. Woo-hoo, boy. Nordic Nightmare says, thank you for this, Nick. I'm sure I speak for a lot of us when I say you're doing God's work. Oh, thank you. Jay Darkness says, finally streams when I'm up. Appreciate your thoughts on the case. Also, it's Jeff from the Thought-O Mechanic video. Hey, man. Ah, that was great. Briefly, do you guys remember the chick who was the mechanic with the OnlyFans account and she got fired for her OnlyFans account? That I interviewed a guy who worked in that mechanic shop with her, and that's Jay Darkness there. That was a great interview. Great interview. Fun times. Charles Argo, number 2, says, watching from South Africa. This trial is a political scam. Regards, shitting dog stare. Thank you, Charles. Not quite all here. Read that one. Frega Boom says, big respect. That's my man, Dan Frega. Awesome guy. B Brand Rage says, how does it feel to have more accurate coverage than 99% of the mainstream media? Keep it up, mate. Oh, fantastic. Of course. One Man Band says, now that Grosskreutz admitted that not having a valid concealed carry, is he going to be permanently disarmed a second time? Probably not. He's not going to get prosecuted for it. Not going to get prosecuted for it. Bob Piffle says, great coverage. Sidebar, are you familiar with Bob Fletcher and Pat Scott live on patrol out of St. Paul? Great guys doing a tough job. No, I have no idea who they are. What do they do, Bob? You don't have to send me a super chat. Just tag me. Tell me what they do. Tell me what they do. Hetero Clyde Hinterwald says, be prepared for the feds to indict Kyle if he is found innocent, like how they prepped for Derek Chauvin. Yes, but also no. I don't know that Kyle would have actual federal issues here. Chauvin deprived a man of civil rights based on his race is the claim. So civil rights violation based on his race. And that's a federal thing. Kyle shot white people. They live stream working as police. I didn't think police could actually do that. That's very interesting. Wonder if they take me on a ride along on a live stream. That'd be fun, right? Bill H says, sending you a bottle of 10-year single barrel bottle in bond McKenna bourbon. Hey, thank you. Great shows deserve great bourbon. Keep up the refreshingly honest work. I don't know if you're here, Bill H, but I do have a great bourbon. Well, I assume it's a great bourbon. I've never tried it, but I do have this Calumet Farm 15-year bourbon that I'm really looking forward to drinking sometime soon. Let's see. E. Freeman says, can we file a complaint about the investigator who apparently doesn't know how to do his job? I would assume anybody could file a complaint. President-elect Austin M. says, Richards looks like Bill Dauterive. It's fitting for this king. Oh, Bill Dauterive.
I'd like to file an objection, Your Honor. I'm a little depressed.
It's fitting for this King of the Hill match, so kind of based Bruce to delay lunch delivery by 15 minutes yesterday. That was good. That was good. Spedfan85 says, I want to apologize for the other day when the subject of teachers' pay came up. I'm usually with people that think that school fees cover teachers' wages, and you know what happens when you assume. Oh, no problem. No problem. Not an issue at all. No need to ever apologize to me. Some runes that I don't understand says, yay for uncivil law. Hey, uncivil, if you're still there, you got a shout out. That was not terrible. Gummy, that hurt me. Aw. Aw. Actually, that might have been terrible. I haven't heard Bill in a long time. Bill sounds just like, well, to me, he sounds a lot like one of my mom's cousins. And so I usually am doing an impersonation of my mom's cousin. So, so it might have been slightly different. Joshua Cornelius says, anyone notice that Legal Eagle won't touch this case with a 10-foot pole? Doesn't fit his preferred narrative. Hudson Beard says, you are in Newsweek article this morning. That's cool. Ralphie D says, just saying hi to Mr. Mediker. Hope you feel better and can't wait for your next stream. Oh, man. Yeah, Jim's been watching along with the trial, which is great. I wish him very well. Hope Jim's doing okay. Kingslayer Damocles says, Emily Baker said you're mean, but at least you never prosecuted someone for their own prescription. Oh, no. Cloudy One Wolf One Smiles says, hey, Nick, how Binger looks like the evil businessman in Iron Man 2, the one helping Whiplash. People keep bringing that up. I don't actually know what that means. Um, I mean, I saw Iron Man 2. I just don't remember what he looks like. That's what I should say. Ralphie D says, hashtag Salty Army. Oh, what's up, Salty Army? To shout out to the Salty Cracker crew. My Compass Law PA says, in Florida, it's called an MJOA, motion for judgment of acquittal, which is the exact same thing as a directed verdict. So you guys are correct. Hey, thank you. Thank you, My Compass Law PA. DJ Tommy C. Colosi says, Gage is all over r/punchable face. Project 17 says, Salty Army UK division supporting your rackets. Oh, thank you. Thank you. The Layman Gamer says, hey, Nick, I can catch you early. Glad I can catch you early. Studying hard for my class at ACDL. Crushed the first test. 3 more to go. Good luck. Need good luck. Much love. Hey, Layman Gamer, if you do happen to see this, good luck, buddy. I know you'll do well because I have the faith. Dude Guy McPants says, make sure to like the stream, get us to the top of YouTube, spread the news of Kyle's innocence. You think we'll get to 40,000 viewers tomorrow? Guys, do you think we'll get there? Oh man, that'd be crazy. Crazy town. Elena Stansby says, much love from the UK. Ex Bubba Hotep says, let's see how long the bald prosecutor has his hand on his forehead today. Balding. Oh, yeah, prosecutor. Yeah, that works. I guess that's enough of a distinction. Vienna Waits for You says, let's start Bicep Awareness Day in honor of Kyle Rittenhouse. Quick says, have you considered doing a law news jam session weekly with guests? Yes, I was talking about it earlier in October that I want to start doing it. That is actually a thing I've been wanting to do for a while. Says, I understand it may not work on YouTube for channel growth. I know others have moved commentary segments to Twitch. Others have, but I'm stubborn. I'm staying here on YouTube. Vienna Waits for You says, my drink is bourbon on the rocks or Scotch whiskey straight up or Scotch whiskey on the rocks. Just ask my local Dallas bartender if you don't believe me. Next, we've got Scott Cardinal says, it's cool that you promote other lawyers on YouTube. Architectural historians don't do that. Any ideas for how my crowd can hook up like y'all do? We just talk a lot. It started with individual interviews, I think. And then there's actually a guy who we might owe a lot of that to, a guy named Eric Hunley. And Eric Hunley is a great dude who has put together a couple of the law panel shows. I think he does one pretty much every Friday around 10 a.m. And he invites a bunch of us lawyers on, and we talk legal news. And that's how I've made connections with several of the other lawyers, is through Eric Hunley. And now we're like this little weird community of weirdos. Calbeck says, did anyone catch that the Kenosha PD firearms lab nullified Groskoritz's misfire trigger pull claim? Yeah, we caught it. I don't know if the jury did. That's the problem. One last thing, Scott Cardinal. One thing about lawyers, and maybe I don't know if this is true or not true of the historical architects or whatever, architectural historians. Lawyers are used to having people disagree with their opinions, right? Like, because we go and still being at the end of the day okay with those people, so long as they don't behave in a ridiculous manner. So that's one thing you'll notice on Twitter, is that or even on live shows, sometimes we'll disagree on particular issues, or one person will correct another, and we don't take it as malice. 99% of the time, we're taking it as collaborative. And just because we get challenged on an idea or a conclusion doesn't mean that we're like, that the other person thinks we're bad or that we need to go against them. That's a big part of why I think the law tube community is growing in this sector the way it is because we tend to be able to disagree and discuss without any anger towards the others. So that's been a big part of it. And you guys have probably seen me and Nate the lawyer have disagreements on Twitter, and yet when we're on shows together, we're completely cordial. And also, I have a huge disagreement with Viva, who stole my clip and sent it to Twitter to be viewed by billions of people. Very uncouth of him. Trapper 9998 says, this trial is just one reason why having a mayor, city attorney, and lead detective is a bad idea. And he followed up with, from one family, I mean Aussie lawyer. Yeah, because if there's political motivation on one of them, you can put pressure on all of them. Even Legal Eagle? No, I have no interest in I don't have any interest in talking to Legal Eagle. He doesn't do what we do. And I think that's a big distinction about it. He produces content for people who don't really want to engage in the law, in my opinion, which is fine. But it's engineered to be YouTube algorithm friendly. So I yeah. He's fine. He does whatever he does, and he does it well, but doesn't interest me at all. Post peak existence says, pour one out for our homie James O'Keefe. Thoughts, especially on his refusal to keep silence as the subpoena asked. Is this in the regards to the raid? I don't know. I have not been following Project Veritas. I need to follow what's going on with them. I just haven't had time. I know about the raid. I also heard that their depositions from New York Times might be dropping soon. Angel Garcia, thank you for the donation. I really want to watch those. Viper says, good morning, guys. We are going to win. Our ball says, did we miss something big? They testified they found 8 rounds, but if that was true, Kyle re-racked his slide, there would be a 9th unfired round. We didn't miss that. We've discussed it, but also there is a possibility that a cartridge just did not eject properly and that he was clearing the chamber. And so there would not be an extra round in that case. It would just clear out the one, but we don't have any supporting testimony on that. No supporting testimony. Steve Demonin, thank you for the donation. AB says, watch Europa, the last battle. Scathy says, can we get a donation goal to kick legal bites? Oh, damn. Yorick says, petition to change today. 1,000 likes for Nick to chug 16-ounce glass of whole milk. That's rude, Yorick. But I actually have whatchamacallit, lactose-free milk that I can drink. Kyle Cowden says, my wife commented that the shift / improvement in the defense, maybe the defense watching you after court, in effect, a real-time jury. Could be, but I don't think so. NZ Family says, I'm a simp for legal mindset. VP says, let's get Nick to 200K. Do Elmo says, better brush up on military law coming soon. Angel Garcia says, someone proved to me that state isn't throwing the case to make Grosskreutz lose his $10 million lawsuit. Wendy Reitler says, I'm from Kenosha. I appreciate you not making too much fun of our accents. I do not make fun of Kenosha accents. I make fun of, and all in love of, the way Mark Richards talks, because I love it. I actually love how distinctive his voice is, and I like doing voices. I always have. So if Wendy Reitler ever sees that, I'm not I don't do it with any malice. I like voices. N Lingrel says, if Binger is Littlefinger, does that make Big Boy Butterfinger? Oh no. Depositions and discovery have been stayed by the appellate court in the Veritas story. Oh, that's lame. Why'd they suddenly change their mind? They had allowed it to go forward before. 200-Watt Studios says, now that Viva has made successful contact through Twitter, please get him to send Megyn Kelly the link to tomorrow's stream on your channel. Is Megyn Kelly a lawyer? Tara Rayner says, Canadians are still fecking awesome, and I am having a directed verdict kind of day. Much love from Ontario, Canada, from the awesomest me. Thank you, Tara. Very much appreciated. The one time I went to Canada, it was very nice, to be fair. Shaker Silver says, Barnes noted last night the state's argument may still sway the jury, not based on the self-defense merits, and simply think that Kyle shouldn't have been there. Could be. That's why they've been doing it. Colorado Patriot 13, thank you for the donation. Perihelion says, good evening, Nick. Thanks again for all the content. Best timeline is Kyle gets let go of all charges, takes inspiration instead of a cop, studies to become the best criminal defense lawyer ever. Kevin O'Connor says, MSNBC has a short YouTube video titled Legal Expert Kyle Rittenhouse Trial Judge Statements Call into Question Possible Bias. Would love your take. Oh, boy. Should we take a look at that real quick? See if I can find it real quick. MSNBC legal analyst dead. That's the top search for MSNBC legal. Expert Kyle Rittenhouse. Oh, oh my God, this is embarrassing. Hold on. We might get derailed a little bit here. Joseph Coda says, I'd love to see you and Steve Lito discuss civil asset forfeiture. That would be a hilarious stream. Steve Lito seems very interesting. 200-Watt Studio says, Megyn Kelly is a lawyer. That's how she got on Fox News originally. Oh, there you go. Okay, guys, we got to check this out. This is a 3-minute segment that is not the subject of the super chat, but I saw the title and a thing, and I thought maybe we should take a peek real quick. The other one's 6 minutes, but let's take a peek. Look at fucking Don Lemon. Here we go, guys. Here we go.
Tell our viewers and our listeners on SiriusXM Satellite Radio before they just heard that testimony from Gage Grosskreutz there. He also apparently said that he put his arms up and then saw Kyle Rittenhouse re-rack his gun. We heard him testify that he thought he was going to die as well.
That's not Don Lemon? Oh. Who's this guy? I don't know what these fucking people's names are. Racism. Oh, no. Oh, shit. Oh no. Is that Drexel? I didn't know Drexel was on MSNBC. Don Lime. Oh God. What? Who is I literally don't know who this is. I thought that was the guy. Okay, here we go. Here we go.
How powerful is this kind of testimony, Danny Savalos, that we're getting from?
This is the legal expertise and commentary you're going to get from MSNBC. How powerful is the testimony that Gage Grosskreutz watched Kyle Rittenhouse re-rack his gun?
From Gage Grosskreutz.
It's very powerful because, you know, we already have a lot of video of what happened.
I want to point out something. Whenever you see a fucking charlatan, I'm mostly kidding, but I might not be. Look for the stupid, unused $10,000 collection of law books behind them. Yeah, I'm talking to you too, Devin. But this is what CNN does. Why do you think Devin is so popular? Why do you think Legal Eagles channel grew so fast, so big? He looks like these fucking losers. He looks the exact same as these serial liars who go out and shill a corporate perspective on law with no actual basis in fact. But remember, so I'm curious what he's going to say. I don't know. He's talking about, we've seen video of this already. Is he going to point out that no one ever has testified to Kyle re-racking the gun and that it's not captured on video in any way?
Now you have a person narrating it, walking you through the experience and making it real for the jury. But don't be fooled. Gage Grosskreutz has a lot of problems for this prosecution, which is why you see them trying to defuse the bombs on direct. They elicit right away the fact that, yes, he had a firearm. Yes, the permit was expired. And yes, he did chase after the defendant with a firearm. Look for the defense to rip into this witness on cross-examination and really exploit those facts. But the prosecution, by bringing it out in their direct examination, is essentially saying, we have nothing to hide. The defense, you can do what you will here. But this is going to be, there's going to be a lot of cross-examination here by the defense. Make no mistake about it.
So this is a problem witness in your viewpoint. But Danny, to the larger point here, that the defense,
surprisingly honest, at least,
is trying to make. The defense is essentially arguing that Kyle Rittenhouse acted in self-defense. And prosecutors argue that Rittenhouse was essentially looking for trouble. How do you effectively make that latter case, that he was effectively looking for trouble?
You start with the position that it is always the prosecution's case, the burden to prove each and every element beyond a reasonable doubt, including the absence of self-defense. So as long as Kyle Rittenhouse raises some evidence of self-defense, the burden goes right back to the prosecution to essentially disprove it. And self-defense, in my experience, is a very, very fact-specific instance. I wish I could give you some broad stroke rules about when it applies and when it doesn't, but it's all over the place. If Kyle Rittenhouse believed he was confronted with deadly force, and if the defense can convince the jury of that, then he does have a good shot at a self-defense defense. But how the jury will read all of this is anyone's guess.
All right, Danny Savalos, again, our legal analyst, playing double duty for us today, and Gabe Gutierrez. They are on the ground in Kenosha watching this trial very closely. Big thanks to both of them.
That was a really tortured way to just give the legal standard of self-defense, which he didn't really do. And the burden shifting thing is weird. That burden shifting thing was strange, but okay, all right. I thought that was going to be way worse than it was. Let me check the other one real quick. We'll take a peek at a few minutes of it. This is the. Here we go. Let me pull it up. Look, there's Don Lemon. All right, we got Don Lemon this time. Here we go.
Today is day 6 in the trial of Kyle Rittenhouse, the Illinois teen who killed 2 people and wounded a third during protests after the death of Jacob Blake in Kenosha, Wisconsin last year. Jurors heard from the lone survivor, Gage Grosskreutz, who was training to become an EMT and was providing care to anyone who needed it. That deadly night in Kenosha, Grosskreutz came across Rittenhouse after he had shot and killed Joseph Rosenbaum and was about to kill Anthony Huber. Grosskreutz acknowledged that he was armed with a pistol, but says his hands were raised when
That is, what are you talking about? Of course it's Don Lemon.
he was shot by Rittenhouse.
I thought that the defendant was an active shooter. And like I had mentioned earlier, anytime you add a firearm into the equation, like I said, the stakes are so much higher for somebody potentially being seriously injured or being killed.
What was going through your mind at this particular moment?
Did they just cut? Hold on.
What was being seriously injured or being killed?
Okay, that was weird.
What was
Okay, so
going
there's a
through
cut
your
there.
mind at this particular moment?
That I was going to die.
He then testified that after Rittenhouse killed Huber, he trained his weapon on the witness and reloaded. Not accepting his gesture of surrender, Grosskreutz then
He did not reload. He did not reload at all. And not accepting his gesture of surrender. Grosskreutz didn't actually testify to gesturing to surrender. But okay.
then thought to disarm the shooter.
I was never trying to kill the defendant. That was never something that I was trying to do. In that moment, I was trying to preserve my own life. But doing so while also taking the life of another is not something that I'm capable or comfortable in doing.
Grosskreutz was
But you had a gun in your hand. We've been through this. I can't dwell on what he's saying. It's so fucking disingenuous.
ultimately shot, describing to the court that Rittenhouse vaporized his arm, his word, tearing away much of the bicep. Jurors looked away as the state showed the moment Rittenhouse shot Grosskreutz. At one point, according to pool notes, a juror nodded in agreement as the judge instructed the jury to disregard Grosskreuz's description of the shooting of a protester as, quote, murder. Joining me now is Paul Butler, former federal prosecutor and Georgetown law.
Oh, I thought Paul Butler. This isn't Don Lemon? You're saying Don Lemon's on CNN? I was way off. I had no idea. Who's like legitimately, who is the guy who's been talking?
Professor Paul, great to see you. Would love to get your reaction to Grosskreuz's testimony, because I always thought that, you know, folks like the good guy with the gun, but also this judge.
Folks like the good guy with the gun. Folks do. Folks like that thing, that good guy with the gun thing. Folks like that.
And his actions in this case.
Jonathan, the prosecution has a tough case proving attempted murder because Mr. Grosskreutz himself was armed. He testified that he was afraid that Mr. Rittenhouse was going to kill him. On cross-examination, the defense got this witness to admit that it wasn't until he was pointing his gun at Rittenhouse that Rittenhouse fired. So that could bolster Rittenhouse's claim that he.
Did you hear the concerned? Oh no. This guy. Is it like? Who is the other guy? Did you guys say it? Do I have to just keep calling him Don Lemon because I don't fucking know? Oh well, whatever. Oof, that's not good. This is a law professor too, so he knows.
Shot in self-defense because he believed that he faced a deadly threat.
Wait, but Paul, I mean, we just heard that.
Wait, but Paul, I mean, we just heard that that he was in fear for his life from Kyle the murderer. Paul, please bail me out, Paul.
Grosskretz's testimony, where he said he thought it was an active shooter.
He thought it was an active shooter. Doesn't his impression matter? No.
So does that not, I mean, at a minimum, cancel out that?
No. It doesn't cancel out things, because then you could just shoot someone and say, well, I thought they were an active shooter. It'd be fine. Well, he doesn't get self-defense. It canceled out. It's like matter and antimatter. Boom, and it's gone.
That little thing that the defense got him to say on the stand?
Well, in fact, he was right. Kyle Rittenhouse was an active shooter.
Not true. Wait, actually, by the time he shot Huber, he might have been.
And he already killed 2 people. What citizens are supposed to do in that situation is to call the police, to alert authorities. This witness.
This is a law professor, y'all. This is insane. I'm not standing Gage Grosskreutz here. I want to point out how stupid law professors can actually be. What citizens are supposed to do is call the police. You're armed and there's an active shooter right there who murdered someone, editorializing for the purpose of argument here, who murdered a man in front of you. You are justified. You are justified in taking the shot. It's not legal advice. There's more that goes into it, but I mean, are we serious here? This is a law professor, a professor of law at Georgetown University.
Testified he put his hands in the air, but when he saw Mr. Rittenhouse re-rack his rifle, he was afraid for his life. The videotape is the star
If you took a class from this guy, you would want to be Rittenhoused.
witness in this case. So the jurors will look at the videotape, they'll hear this testimony, and then they'll decide whether they believe this witness or whether they believe Mr. Rittenhouse.
Now, in my intro to you, I said that the judge instructed the jury to disregard Grosskretz's description of the shooting of a protester as, quote, murder. Is that because murder is actually there's a legal definition of murder?
So the legal intern at MSNBC told him, ooh, ask about this, because the juror made what's called a legal conclusion, or the Gage made a legal conclusion. He's not allowed to do that. That'll be a good question for the law professor.
Murder?
That's exactly right. So it's the jury who will decide whether Mr. Rittenhouse is a murderer.
It's the jury who will decide whether or not Mr. Rittenhouse is a murderer
Based on the fact that he killed the first 2 victims in this case. This judge likes the limelight, and he's micromanaging this case. This is the same judge who did not allow the victims in this case to be described as victims, even though Mr. Rittenhouse killed 2 of them. And the witness who testified today had graphic testimony about how Mr. Rittenhouse blew the bicep off of this man's arm.
Yeah, but did he beat the brakes off of that man
when he shot him?
Let's talk more about this.
Let's talk more about this trial. Listen, this guy talks like these people are insufferable.
Judge, because I'm following loosely this trial, but everything I hear about this judge just sort of has planted the seed in my head that this trial is, sorry to use the word, rigged. That the instructions of the judge is.
Sorry to use the word, rigged. Have you guys? Okay. Oh my gosh. Please tell me you guys have seen Undercover Brother. Have you guys seen Undercover Brother with Eddie Griffin? If you have not, it's a fantastic movie. It is on Amazon Prime. As soon as this trial is over, I'm going to be doing a Twitch watch party, and we will watch it together, whether you've seen it or not. He looks like Eddie Griffin's undercover character, Anton, doesn't he? And he talks just like him. Extra mayo for me, please. Oh my God. He is Anton. Oh, I can't unhear it and see it. He had those same glasses. I got to pull it up. I got to pull up a picture just so, oh. Anton Jackson. I can't play a clip. That'll get taken down right away. Here we go. Look at this. Can we get a side by side? I can do that. I'm fucking killed. They sent Anton Jackson, if you don't know, to infiltrate white culture undercover. This guy looks exactly like him. Oh, God. Oh, I'm sorry. Who is this guy? This is Paul. No, is this Paul Butler? Who is this guy?
Is making it pretty much impossible for the jury to actually consider all the facts and come up with a verdict where justice will be served. Or am I way out there in what I just said?
Not at all, Jonathan. I understand your concern.
Not at all. You're not at all out there that it's rigged. That it's rigged.
Remember, this judge also ruled that the victims could be referred to as looters, arsonists, and rioters if there's evidence that is presented that they did those things.
Yes. Yes, if you don't understand the distinction between looters, rioters, and arsonists, if there's evidence that they did those things, and then calling and how calling someone a victim of a criminal defendant would be prejudicial. If you don't get the distinction, then you not only shouldn't be a law professor, but you should just never mind.
So far, no evidence at all. Mr. Grosskreutz was a trained
No evidence at all? First of all, they haven't called Grosskreutz a rioter, an arsonist, or a looter. But to suggest that there's no evidence at all that there are rioters, arsonists, and looters is insanity.
EMT officer there to offer medical aid. Rittenhouse's first victim wasn't a protester. He was a man who just been released from a psychiatric hospital who seemed to be having a mental health crisis.
Oh my God. Are you kidding me?
And so when the judge allows these victims to be described as criminals, that certainly calls into question his judgment. If
they're literal fucking criminals.
Not his bias.
What? Okay, I'm suing whoever sent that super chat. Jonathan Capehart, thank you. I mean, oh my gosh. I'm stunned on that one. Super Iron Bob says, if these monsters had any actual care for their fellow man, they'd be demanding every court adopt the restriction of calling people victims until the case is proven. Instead, they betray their peers and ideals for party points. Yeah, no. The word victim has no place in a murder courtroom, in my opinion. It just doesn't. It's too prejudicial. Victim implies that someone did something to someone in a negative manner. You can't be the victim of self-defense, right? Like, that's not possible to be a victim of self-defense, because the self-defender is the victim. The other person is the aggressor. That's how self-defense works. That was from Kevin O'Connor. Get sued. Danny Conley says, love the Mystery Science Theater Law Edition. Hey Cash says, Gage Grosskreutz has fallen a long way since being in Winger, headed for a heartbreak indeed. 9MMH says, imagine how differently yesterday would have been had Gage and his friends stayed off social media. Jeremy Stevenson says, how do I make watching y'all count as CLE? Would be the most enjoyable CLE I would be, and I would be done for the year. Jeremy, you're probably not here, but me doing this should be CLE, right? Ghosts of Recon says, I'm addicted to this kind of content now. After this trial is over, I'm going to fall into a deep depression. Yeah, I'm really curious what the next case I'll be able to cover like this is. SPJ Jones says, Gage Grosskreutz is a poster boy for Why You Aim Center Mass. Celestial Chi says, is there any chance that Binger will be held responsible for his crooked prosecution that he thought was going to make him famous? Can there be any other motive since it crumbled so easily? Black-pilled on crooked prosecutors. You should always be, but I don't think he's going to. There is a chance, and again, it's growing bigger by the day because they keep making gross errors. But yes, Chris Chan. The thing with Chris Chan is I don't know if there's going to be a camera in the courtroom or a Zoom feed or anything like that. If there is, I'm going to cover Chris Chan. I want to, I want nothing more than to cover that horrific case. Kim Potter's going to be televised now. We'll see. We'll have to check on Chris Chan. Though I'm gonna have to ask I'll have to ask Null if he knows if there's gonna be a court feed, because if there is, that's all I need. I just need a camera in the courtroom. Peter says, motion for consideration on count 6 was denied. Did the judge just confirm the gun charge is legitimate? Well, he confirmed it'll go to a jury. Jonas Traber says, how dedicated do you think Binger is to winning? Very. Could he just be pretending to be a jerk, but in fact subtly sabotaging his own case because he knows Kyle's innocent? A lot of people have that theory. I don't think there's any evidence to support that. It doesn't make sense based on who Binger seems to be. Eddie Oliver says, Gage Grosskreutz is a hero, and we need to pass a law giving him a holiday, maybe a day, maybe a month, maybe a quarter. He saved Kenosha. Wine Knight says 69. Yeah. Britt Cormeyer says, was that a phone video that they deleted? If it was, did they delete it from the cloud? I don't know. Don't know. That's the juror video he's talking about there. Goober Gabber says, let's see if Agent 47 is going to put Binger through the ringer again. Gentleman Sausage says, Your Honor, I would like to call my surprise witness, Terry A. Davis, expert on bioluminescence, to testify on the nature of half of the prior witnesses. Vienna waits for you says, Nick, turn the subtitles on. I have the subtitles on their on the feed stream, but it doesn't always work. They have to turn them on. How far behind am I at this point? Very. Marty McFly says, really enjoying your commentary on the case, but I'm even more excited to see Negan on the panel. Huge Walking Dead fan. Miles Breeden says, just for the legal ASMR comment. Matthew Esmar says, day 7 of the best stream ever. Thank you. J.K. Wynn says, Richards, Your Honor, concerns to the location of Kyle's rifle, Lil Binger, and Wide Boy weren't looking so great yesterday. Don't want any more bodies on them. President-elect Austin M says Hurricane Sharafisi is coming soon. Rip Binger and Co. Thank you, Mog Assassin. Paulo Santana says the infrared drone footage looks like the AC-130 mission from Modern Warfare 2. Where's the church? I want to add to the night's war crimes. Dilligaff says Nick's dad. Are you winning, son? Probably. Seth Kaiser says these two could be gay lovers. I wonder what two. I have no idea. Next is in Richard's voice. Jump kick man, yellow pants man, Mega Man, guts man, cut man, and Dr. Wiley. Joshua Unseth, I read that one. Goober Gabber says they mentioned Bee Gees on the scene, but 3 blokes were not staying alive. Cole Will says the theatrical version will star Drew Carey and Jim Carrey as the prosecution. Screenplay titled Whose Line of Questioning Is It Anyway? Runkle and the Bailey says stuck in court again this morning. May see if I can join the stream during downtime. B-Band Rage says, I want to know why they're using friggin' Win 10 media player instead of an actual media player that can go frame by frame. Aggravating. Because it's court, man. Because it's court. No, Andrew, that one was from earlier today. So that one was from this morning. Down Forward Punch says that guy's suit is worse fitting than Sargon of Applebee's. I didn't think it's possible. Smug chuckle. Barry Dworak says, why are doctored images admissible? They got to be challenged if you don't want them in. Agent Exeter says the Mystery Science Theater 3000 style of commentary has made an otherwise confusing process interesting and understandable. You should consider making this a regular thing. It's always about finding the thing to cover. Hardest part of my process is finding what to cover. Magma Bonzo says, can you guys comment on the portrayal of the case made by the media? A Google search turns up an alternate reality based on the facts revealed thus far. True Ananas had bad pressure, but says you should go on Tim Pool's show. Chat was shouting you out last night, and he said he would love to have you on. I will patiently await an invite. Brian McDonough says George Lucas is the next witness to show that Kyle shot first. Goober Gabber says scrap that. I meant 2. The last one was left only one Armstrong. Next, we've got Malcolm Keck says for real legal expertise, check out the Shart stream with Methane Ralph. Join his dozens of viewers today. Oof. Pinking 554 says, why wouldn't you call Zeminski to testify? Because if you're calling as the defense to call Zeminski, you are calling an adverse witness who is also seemingly a communist revolutionary who is unhinged. You may not get the answers that you want. Tom O'Connell says, note to memory, don't bring a skateboard to a gunfight. NZ Family says, just to note that the video that was edited at the start where the FPS was higher is inaccurate because it is frame interpolation where the AI guesses. There you go. That's actually a good point. I wonder if John Black will attack that footage. Tyler Vale says, Lodge Boo looks like a fat skinhead from American History X. Ethan Suppley before he got absolutely jacked. Yes, Tuna from Blow also. B-Band Rage says, I think I see Waldo in that video. Pablo Lojo says, has the video been cropped enough to obscure the presence of any other shooter? Yes. Mean Sarton says, has anyone else thinking the reason why the state drugged things out yesterday was to allow this guy to enhance the footage? Maybe. Bearded Jedi says, what is Chris Farley trying to get Stephen Baldwin to say? Next, NZ Family says, just a note that the video that was edited to start with the FPS higher inaccurate because frame interpretation, AI guesses. Yes, he sent that again. Big T Armada says, base cyborg judge. That video looks to be reduced by a play speed factor of 59.567 for E798. Please correct the record. Watermelon Sugar High says, greetings from South Sweden. Please follow McGinnis movement from when Kyle is ambushed by the Zeminskis and Rosenbaum. He's 100 feet behind Kyle. He then chases them with a phone gun in the air. Gilly has baby hands says, WKND for Kyle. Hashtag I can't sneed. Peter says, is it just that Kyle pointed the gun backwards when the bag was thrown? No, they're saying that he pointed the gun at Zeminski before running away. So the idea that they're trying to lie their way into. Give me a second, guys. Sorry about that. We had a bathroom incident with one of these sleeping girls. The problem when they don't go to sleep, right, is that the younger ones will be awake longer after they last went to the bathroom. Okay, so there you go. It wasn't me. Oh boy. Young children. All right. A bear in the woods says even at 50% speed, Rosenbaum was very close and moving fast. He was also screaming at Kyle. Warrior Biatch says, I'm behind. What happened with the video the judge was talking about? Something about a phone, I think. It's bugging me. We ended up seeing the drone footage is what you're talking about, and we did see it. It was and it's clipped and edited, which is great. And who knows? Maybe the defense's expert will testify about it. Not sure. Aaron H says, free Kyle, disbar the corrupt prosecutors. Juice K says, FPS can be used to say Rosenbaum was less than 1 second away when he was shot. Might be more meaningful to use the metric than he was 6 feet away. Bad Vibe says, imagine he brought experience across state lines. Watermelon Sugar High says, donation for a bucket under the desk. I should have gone to the bathroom during that fiasco. Silent Vash 27 says, death caused by lead allergy. Chris Nunez says, what's the difference between Kyle Rittenhouse and Jacob Blake? Kyle will walk. I kid. Cheers to you, Nick and Guess. Oof. A true meme master says, betting this will be blamed on COVID. Frankie Ramon says, can you move up Legal Bites center? Thanks. Hashtag simpery. I did not see that, so no. Topher says, this is like Mystery Science Theater of court hearings. I love it. Stunner 900 says, how is he a relevant witness? Echoing Faithfully says, we need bulletproof skateboards now. Paul Wolf, thanks for the donations. Fastest Hands in the West, Alec Flash says, doctor, in your field of expertise, do you believe that Joe Rogan ingested horse paste? No further questions, Your Honor. I loved that one. That was funny. Angela B says he's describing the damage caused by a rider trying to brain a man armed with a rifle. Greg UW says, did they spend that much time figuring out the trauma and damages caused to the 7 children the MIC droned recently? Seems like the world would be better spent than for a child molester. Damn. Or the time would be better spent. D's Nuts says, this is the only way to watch this. I would have turned it off already, but I stay for the dark humor. Greg UW says, did you see pre-existing damage related to pedophilia? Gonefall says, we need to call the police. The guy is lying. That Rosenbaum fella didn't have a heart. He never did. Brother Tough Love says, was the hand he used to swing the skateboard injured? Oh, that's a good question. Mog Assassin says, better shot through the heart than hurt so good. B-Band Rage says, he was a skater boy. Kyle said, see you later, boy. Who Me says, will the toxicology report show presence or absence of all medications, not just drugs, i.e. Rosenbaum and gabapentin? They must not have thought the toxicology report was worth going after because they didn't ask about it at all. They didn't ask about it at all. That made me really interested. I Hate Yankee says, shot through the heart and he's to blame. Ooh, they give protests a bad name. Nightmare Zero says, Lemafau wrecked. Derek Cantrell says, is that guy okay? Russ Man says, nothing. Thank you for the donation. Matthew Esmar says, it's just a flesh wound. Kevin Gravier says, just to compensate for losing ad revenue. Sage Forensics 22 says, I'm an online forensic site grad student. Also studied chemistry, bachelor's, and criminal justice bachelor's. Learning a lot here too and having fun. Thanks. Peter Zellen says, fudged around and found out. Charles Fisher says state just proved he was shot from the ground. Bullet enters at hip and exits from his clavicle. Mr. Squiggles says at least he died smiling. Oh, that was rude. Wow. Whew. The Neon Outlaw says, I pray to whatever gods that'll hear me that I never leave a corpse that ugly. Great coverage. Great job covering this rag. It's been here since the Vic case, and I appreciate what you do. Have a drink on me. Cousin Eddie says, pre-existing thumb abrasion from smoking crack prior to the incident. Mark Gee says, thank God Kyle didn't shoot lower than the navel. I didn't want to see a dead man's junk. Vienna waits for you says, did Rosenbaum have unclean underwear? The Buzz CJC says, Rosenbalmed. Kinda says, I believe it's pronounced Rosenboom. Gonfall says, both died from COVID. It's been confirmed. Wolfgang Deo says, but did Rosenbaum have COVID? That's the real killer. The Buzz CJC says, in this case, justice comes out of the gun. Blah, blah, 9877 says, sending you money you deserve before you get demonetized. Blake Pritchard says, Rosenbaum shot through the hand and eye by the same bullet because he was reaching for Kyle's gun. Not the eye. Wolfgang Deo says, Bob Ross on guns. Happy scrapes, happy little scrapes here and there. Just a couple happy little scrapes. Tony K says, did they check their clothing for powder residue? They did on Huber. Yes, they said there was residue on Huber. No, there's no objection, or there's no doubt that Huber was shot at very close range with the barrel probably against his shirt even. Tony K said, wait, read that one. Lauren P says, even if this cottonmouth dude is saying stuff adverse to Kyle, I bet the jury isn't retaining any of it because I'm not, and cottonmouth is less than pics of dead bodies. Could be. Did you guys hear that? That every time he talked, just, God, it was awful. I don't know if the mic picked that up. If it did, I apologize, except I don't. Fragaboom says, pseudo stippling is a Phil Collins song. Come on now. Come on. Ghost of Recon says, freedom seeds bloom best when planted in commies. Next, Artemis Fowl says, prosecutor, are you saying the pedo was shot in the dick? Anthony Duffy says, commentary is great. Reminds me of Mystery Science Theater. Topo Musical says, Kyle is a racist because his stippling wasn't diverse enough. Vienna waits for it was gross. Sorry. That's all I could hear from the medical examiners. Like, get the man a water. Vienna waits for you says, perhaps the prosecution strategy is to put the jury to sleep until closing arguments. Silent Schwan says, Gary Oldman and Billy Bob from Varsity Blues going to be good castings for Binger and Fatty when the movie adaptation of this gets made. The Great Mutta says, I just woke up. Is this another star witness for the prosecution? I mean, defense? Lauren Smart says, just found your channel yesterday, and it's great watching the trial along with y'all. So much more fascinating. Thank you for supporting Kyle. A dude says, how much money did they waste on this trash? Couldn't they offer free food to local kids instead? I'm sure votes would prefer kids over pedos. Deep Service says, Kyle will be inside that pedo till the sun explodes. Blaine 20 says, big guy DA equals master of disguise. Am I right? Zarniak says, can defense show photos of trauma from skateboard beating victim autopsies as a counterplay? Ask him to testify about the sorts of injuries a Kyle-like victim would have sustained. Not really. Because he didn't. Agent Rude says, when they show the corpses, I'll resist the urge to spit on my monitor. Rico says, spoiler, these injuries are consistent with someone being shot mid-tackle. That's actually kind of what came out. Ben Frail, we're over 200 in. Squizgar says, anyone else hungry? Will H says, Rosenbaum was 5'4", 134 pounds with or without all the extra lead weighing him down. Justin Wright says, look how bloated the index finger is. I think he almost had the barrel of the gun. Stunner says he bad touched kids with those hands. Oh. Crunch says lefty, same hand to hold chain and grab gun. Cormoran says this corpse represented the Lollipop Guild, the Lollipop Guild, the Lollipop Guild. 69123 says Kyle's patented pedo/abuser restraint surgery, 100% guaranteed. Sheldon Barfield says new people in the chat don't feel bad. There's one less convicted child diddler in the world. White Alakazam says, yo, Nick, if they don't know what the U-cut is, can you just show them that Gage's arm and say, look how much meat you can fit in there? Sean Sailing says, curious, what kind of volume increase are you seeing after your video made the top page of Reddit? Well, I mean, yesterday was 26,000. Today was 30, upper 26,000. Today was 37 something. So pretty good. Pretty good. Leroy Jenkins says, who wants to bet that Rosenbaum and Huber voted for Biden? Hashtag let's go Brandon. Jason McConnell says, if only Rosenbaum had a Ridge wallet, the bullet would have been deflected by its attractiveness. I need to do a Ridge wallet ad. I really do. Maybe tomorrow. Sean Sailing says, wait, read that one. Body Beard says, defense should play the audio of the gunfire with a time scale. They will. Hoosier Hawk says, how will the lefty's admission yesterday affect his suit against the city? It's a lot of problems for it right now. A lot of problems for it right now. Yeah, anger on the Red Angel. I don't think I can. I think I'm going to have to finish in 30 minutes. No matter where we are. Do in the middle of the Rittenhouse trial when they break for lunch. I thought about it. I don't know. We'll see. B-Band Reggae says the kids finally caught up with him and took his Lucky Charms by force. Cameron Rottenberg says, surely none of this evidence is enough to sway the jury, right? We can all see Rosenbaum twist and fall after he attacks Kyle and is shot. Caligula Love. Read that one. David says, pictured here, the best type of pedo. Ooh. Darth Vaporize says, how are you viewing the full trial like this? PBS and other streams are just focusing on the pathologist and not showing the evidence like you are. I was using Court TV's feed and they happened to have it. I didn't know they would do that. That's just who had it. Echoing Faithfully says, look at this photograph. Every time I do, it makes me laugh. Patrick Stewart says, next exhibit is going to be a montage of the shooting footage with the Sarah McLachlan's in the arms of an angel and voiceover for full effect. Renal Ryan says, hi, Nick and crew. Question, are lawyers shown graphic pictures? Oh, we read that one. The answer is no. Not unless you do an elective. Russell Wallace Warren says, thank you for your service. John Schubert says, you guys are like legal version of MST3K. A lot of that today. Ace Brain says, trippy how Rosenbaum's bullet wounds are relatively tame compared to Gage's blown bicep. Ballistics be crazy. Yep. I think the bicep is because it was clean through. So it carried, and basically, I mean, going through a bicep, there's no bone there. There's no organs. There's not a ton of meat to go through. It's going to carry a lot of velocity out with it. And so that's going to bring all that tissue. Woodfoot, read that one. Joshua Unseth says, lol, what would be even more interesting is if they found no pharmaceuticals in Rosenbaum's body. It would impeach his girlfriend's claim that he took his drugs. Dova Bear says the DA should ask Kyle how to put out a dumpster fire because their case is a big one right now. Damn. I'm going to move this over here. I don't need to see my own face. Why am I seeing my own face? Next. Here we go. Let's get this. Oh, that's beautiful. Vin S says, Super Chat is for the lulz. Glad I found this channel and coverage. Well done. Don't worry. All of you new people will regret it eventually. Scott R says prosecution cringed when he said it could be in contact with the barrel. Bill H says Binger just puked in his mouth a little bit. Economath says curb your enthusiasm theme. Mullen Labe says 1371 says would the hand shot help mitigate the reckless charge if defense can argue contact made with muzzle deflect aim trajectory except hand had no exit wound? I have no idea. Ray Blind says Rosenbaum did a death burpee. Shay Watson says, let Kyle go home now. Clearly, the victim died of that virus. Game over. Cameron Rottenberg says, so witness says he was shot in back, but the autopsy and procedure can't confirm he was shot from behind and potentially on the run, like seems to angle. Yeah, I mean, the shot in the back thing was always just about him being shot in the back as he was falling. Your Honor, the prosecution moves to strike all Game of Thrones references made to our team, and where identification of a member is required, replaced with an appropriate "My name is Earl" character. Justin Troll says powder burn is consistent with the A2 flash hider on Kyle's rifle, so he was reaching for the rifle within arm's reach. Guardy Luke Gubbin says, man, you can see visible cringe on the big DA's face when the witness says in close proximity or touching the barrel. Thomas DeVries says, it smells of Mike Nifong 2.0, but worse because of all the video evidence. Can we keep tabs on the political careers of the prosecution? Norm says they might be painting it as a defensive wound. Greg UW says, agree with Nick here. Journalists executed by ISIS or Taliban's with a butter knife was much more traumatizing. This is cakewalk footage. Alex Hoffer says, try having family dinner while watching CSI. Seth Kaiser says, how long does it take to become a defense attorney? Bachelor's degree in law school, man. So 7 years on average. G-Man says, nope, read that one. Tara Rayner says, Nick, YouTube is showing one of the dead bodies as the live stream's thumbnail image. You might want to fix that. It just does that. Or no, that wasn't Tara Rayner. Sorry, that was James Degnan. It does that, and it just grabs random frames during the show. It'll change it, and it did change it. Tara Rayner says his hand was either on or close to the barrel, yet they didn't make sure the barrel was swabbed for DNA. Bullshit. There was probably tissue or blood. Tara Rayner says stabbed, not stabbed. Autocorrect is wrecking poor Tara Rayner. It was swabbed is what she meant. Rachel says, I'm so sorry. Just got here. What is stippling? I presume you aren't talking about the art technique. You know, Rachel, stippling is a bit of an art technique if you think about it. Wolfgang Deo says, so what you're saying is if I watch Nick long enough, I will be able to get off jury duty in nearly every case. Yes. Bucko Haram says within 4 feet is just about 2/3 of a Rosenbaum. Vienna Waits for You says the Law and Crime Channel posted a poll, guilty or not guilty, self-defense. 86% of the viewers chose not guilty. Swade says horizontal, not back turned. John Taylor says, did you guys see a possible Nazi tattoo on Huber body, half covered by the defibrillator pad? Looked like an SS symbol inside of a love heart. I wasn't looking for that, but it could have been. Three Dark Lord says, good shows on trial. First super chat. Hey, thank you. Missile Masker Online says, yes, I found you from a clip on Twitter. I couldn't find you via standard YouTube search. Great coverage so far. Alex Motion says, I have your stream going on 3 TVs so I don't miss anything while I'm working. Great job. Screw the stuffy lawyers on TV. Y'all rock. Thank you, Alex Mations. Blaine 20 says, judge to jury. We're going to take a 15-minute break. Do not watch Ricada Law on YouTube. Thad Thithel shouldn't be. For that shouldn't be. I don't know. Says, congratulations on your channel's increase in popularity. You're poised to explode to the next level as the go-to YouTuber for legal analysis. Brett Odson, thanks for the donation. Fractal Machine says, would love to see BLM riot for Kyle over that cop pepper spraying him in the face, chanting, hands up, don't shoot. DB Pooper says, Joe Rosenbaum died doing what he loved, chasing minors. Keep up the great work, Ricada. You've gotten me through my most boring work week yet. Hey, thank you. David A. Hamilton says, look at big boy mindset. Looks like he's ready for another bombshell. Sleepy Dan says, no, Drew says, can the defense, nope, read that one. Sleepy Dan says, This expert knows all the ins and outs of bullet wounds. Rick Ardito says Richard sounds like Wisconsin Kronk from Emperor's New Groove. DCV Titan says prosecution going to discredit its witness again. Grant Gibson says, did Binger get told to do the case? Does he want to do this? He knows his side is full of bullshit. Would he unilaterally be able to drop charges? In order. Yes, he got told to do the case. Does he want to do this? Yes, he could have turned it down. Most likely. He knows his side is full of bullshit. No, I don't think so. He's writing the bullshit. And would he be able to unilaterally drop charges? Yes. Woodfoot says the initial drawing should be an NFT. Well, he may need permission from the DA, but if Binger came in and motioned to dismiss on all charges, I don't think. He might get reprimanded for it. I don't think anybody would be able to stop him though. Aaron Cox says objection. This is damaging to my case. Andrew War Snowboard says Binger just downloaded Sound of Silence by Disturbed. Trevor R says, is it ironic that the baby finger was unscathed by Rittenhouse when he blasted the baby toucher? Pope Metallicus 1 says, Your Honor, I'd like to report a murder. Vox Darkstar said, man, I really just want a prosecutor cam whenever the defense crosses. Me too. God, that would be great. Bob Jones, I have 18 minutes, and I have a hard cutoff at 18 minutes. And I don't know what to do about the chat. Some of them may be lost to the ether. I'll still have them. I still have them on a spreadsheet, but I don't know when I'll read them. That's the problem. J.K. Wynn says, Richards, Your Honor, make sure there's no ARs around Binger and the tank. I know I bent them over, and they may be feeling a little wrecked. If they can be dismissed before delete. Steven Sykes says the injuries to Rosenbaum seem to be extremely consistent with someone lunging forward at Kyle and being shot in the leg. The number one says, glad to see more good coverage of this trial. Thanks, guys. Meme Bandit says, press F for Binger. Rball716 says, close range is when the barrel is inserted into the victim before the shot. That's kind of what it seems. Wolfgang Deo says, wait, so a medical opinion can talk about entry and exit wounds, yet can't figure out anything else? No ordering, no speed. WTF are doctors doing? I don't know how they would find the order. Again, we're talking about wounds that would be all within 1 second of time. I don't know how they'd figure out the order from the wounds. Hey, what's up, young Ripa? How you doing, man? Stream's not gonna cut off. In 16 minutes, I'm gonna be done because I have to go to bed and get ready for tomorrow. Sheldon Hall says, could Kyle's lawyers submit injuries suffered by Kyle during his attacks? Just read your super chats on Flashcast. That'd be good. If someone was hit with a skateboard, there should be a bruise, right? Norn Iron John says, when are you going on with Tim Pool? He's got to invite me first. Like, actually, not just, he's got to send me an invite, and then we'd have to schedule something. Alex Mason says, show just got 10 times more based when you added Coleman. That guy's great. He's great. David Cobb says, holy hell, every one of the prosecution's witnesses have been a huge help for the defense. Justice and facts making a comeback. Bad Vibe says, Nick, Massachusetts just said stamping doesn't occur on palm due to thick skin. Or MA? Stamping. Oh, okay. Yeah, I did miss that. That's good. Janice Walker. So that's when stamping is when the barrel causes a wound by making contact, a wound or an abrasion of some sort on the skin by making contact with the skin. Janice Walker says the cutest guys that have been on this stream so far are Legal Mindset and that Tom guy with the baseball bat. Rude. Elliot Ballin says, is he trying to shoot the witness? Cracklin says, but was the position anatomically correct? Arball says, never get in a slap fight with a bullet. Jesse Richards says, Rosenbaum swiped Kyle's gun like it was his Tinder profile. Oof. Political Trucker says, I hope you guys know that Antifa and leftists have pics and all jurors' info in case they free Kyle. There's actually no evidence that Antifa actually has those pictures, but they may. Cracklin says, does how the pervert was shot have any relevance? Intent? They have to establish the foundation that he was killed by Kyle Rittenhouse and that the bullets were, that they have determined cause of death to be these shots. They do have to do that. They could have stipulated to it, but the prosecution probably didn't want to stipulate to it because the prosecution wants to bring the pictures of the dead bodies. Spears says palm skin is too thick to make a muzzle stamp. Skin on scalp is thinner, so there will not be a muzzle stamp on a hand, period, if on the muzzle. David Haviland says, get a haircut, Viva. I agree. Very embarrassing. Chryson says, baby shark, Viva, better than the prosecutor. Or better that than the prosecutor. Mad Cow Mark says, the solicitor, big boy, for the state is not very honest. He's trying to convince people he has hair with the worst comb over in the history of man. Ian Carroll says almost 29,000 viewers, but less than 10,000 likes. The grift is slipping, Nick. Well, I had to turn off the grift drinking at a early point because I don't want to die on stream. P.A. Grunt says they obviously don't understand flash hiders, compensators, muzzle flash, and escaping gases and trying to apply stippling to them. I mean, maybe it's the guy's job. Steel Rain SR says smoke could be oil burn from the first shot if there was some in the barrel from cleaning. Blaine 20 says, I'm just glad Alec Baldwin isn't the DA. Daniel Smith says, objection, prosecution is reaching. Silent Sean says, I love that Viva is like the last person actually trying to be fair on this to the shit show trial, Canadian innocence. Wolfgang Deo says, detective looks so beta on the on prosecution, lol. Ink Fairy Game says, Binger, if you get us out of this, I'll buy you a bacon sandwich, is sort of how I imagine the prosecution whispers going. Oh, Binger's saying to Binger's saying to Chonker, if you get us out of this, I'll buy you a bacon sandwich. B. Freeman says, need to get game theorist in there to do pixel measurements based on the video, like they measure Mario's height to dictate distance in Super Mario. President-elect Austin M. says, if the muzzle stamp doesn't fit, you must acquit. Mr. D says, and for a final witness, the state calls Chewbacca. Josh Long says, if the stippling don't show, Kyle must be let go. GRP poll says, if both hand positions are possible and the witness, with the witness, reasonable doubt, yes. Yes. Every time they say, well, that's possible and the other thing's possible, I mean, that is towards reasonable doubt. If two equal circumstances are possible, reasonable doubt would favor the one that is beneficial to the defendant. Comrade Roof Korean the Base says, on a scale of 1 to 10, how pissed is the prosecution? Very. Linus L says, could it be argued that the longer the trial takes, the more chance that the jury will be influenced, even intimidated by the media? Possible. No way to know. Actual Engine says, didn't Grosskreutz already torpedo the state's case? Yes, but they get to keep going. Jonas Wheel the Fourth says, how can they charge him for minor with a deadly weapon and try him as an adult at the same time? Because he's now 18. And the juvenile trial things, those protections go away when you turn 18, not based on when you commit the crime. It's kind of weird. Hate Army Watch says, smash the sub button harder than Rosenbaum's pelvis. Ooh. Joshua Barron says, Minnesota, Canada's deep south. Zaring says, Ricada, regarding your homeschooling on the Constitution, do you record those lessons? I never got a civics class in K through 12, and I'd like to watch these lessons if they're available. No, I don't. I don't record them. I teach them in person. And I teach them in a way that is trying to tailor to the audience that I have, specifically to the kids in the room that I've got there, because I want to engage them and engage their reactions and delve into stuff they're interested in. So it doesn't really bode well with recording. Common Sense, thanks for the donation. Roland says, the big civics lesson is read the Constitution, word by word, read through it, try and figure out what's going on. That's farther than you're going to get in most any class in the nation. Roland says, just here to say smash the like button. Mullen Labe says, just for hypothetical, could they charge Kyle for the gun if the AR was an 80% and he made it himself since no FFL transfer required? Maybe. Charge him for what? Possession, I guess. Spence Karen says, are charges likely against Gage Grosskreutz? No, they're very unlikely. Could the chain of responsibility for bringing Kyle Rittenhouse to trial be held accountable? No. Could they be disbarred? Almost guaranteed not. Jay Siva says, in prosecutor voice, please point to the body parts on this Barbie doll where little boy residue was found on Rosenbaum's dead corpse. Francis Chartrand says, 2 more to a Brady bunch. We got there. Cat Zap read that one. The Scott 16 says, we were reporting on legal proceedings, except that a lot of networks and individual reporters called him a murderer, which is a legal conclusion. Pope Metallica says, opinions from the panel, did Legal Eagle get his law degree out of a Cracker Jack box or nah? Brett E. Anna Presley called Kyle a white supremacist domestic terrorist. Tweet still exists. Russell Hall says, I created a spot fund intended to help Kyle's Rittenhouse through these trying times. It's called BIOJs, Blow Jays for Kyle. Please consider donating and God bless. Bryson says, Baby Shark, rather hear that than the prosecutor. Less torturous than the Baby Shark song. AF Ohio Patriot says, Nicholas J. Fuentes did nothing wrong. FinFrog3 says, in MST 3000 voice, coming this summer, Random Cop. He's tough. He's bad. He's full of shite. One of my favorite lines from Mystery Science Theater, they were watching some movie and a chick's about to jump out of a plane. I don't remember what it was. She's about to jump out of a plane to skydive, and she puts on a helmet and jumps out, and she's falling through the air. And I think it was Tom Servo. He says, what's a helmet for in skydiving? In case you land on your head? It's just such a subtle, simple joke. It was, gosh, it's funny. Barton Bella says, why can't they sue them over the media denying the defendant the ability to get a fair trial? There should be one, if not, like what happened to Trump. I don't know what the cause of action would actually be. Comrade Roofcree in the base says, any prosecutorial misconduct during this trial? Maybe. I don't know if we've gotten quite there yet. You have to go so far. You get such a litigation privilege. Would contempt be issued publicly or behind the scenes? Publicly. So much for the state to only seek justice. Alart Van Vloten says, what the F? Viva and Barnes doubleheader. Awesome and welcome. Love this stream. Ryan Long says, would any of you guys actually want to be on the defense of this case? I assume the difference between media representation and what seems like the ease of the case seems they are going to up those fees. I mean, if I were like practicing and wanting to spend a bunch of time doing legal work, then yeah, I would want to be on the defense for Rittenhouse. Absolutely. Lonnie Raymer. I don't think that was Ryan Long comedy, Alex Thompson. I think that was regular or someone else named Ryan Long. Regular Ryan Long. Oh, man. That sounded mean. Lonnie Raymer, thanks for the donation. Topo Musical says, if they put Kyle in the stand, all the lawyers here will be crying, so they won't have it in them to make fun of Kyle. I'm not going to cry no matter what happens. But no, they should not put him on the stand. They really should not. Very, very bad plan to put him on the stand. Sean Burrows says, any chance Gage will be charged with anything after this trial? I think it's extremely unlikely. David Cobb says, no, Angry, I've not looked at it yet. Sorry. I haven't looked at anything. David Cobb says, why isn't the fact that the others tried to prevent Rittenhouse from reaching the police more front and center? Also, Kyle Deaf shouldn't testify. Legion of Reason says it's like the prosecution is trying to create reasonable doubt in Kyle's defense. Don't think it works that way. Julie Camarada says, please ask Ron if he knows where Thomas Wichter went. I missed that. Real Hydro PX says, Emily reminds me of my, Mimi Bobek from the Drew Carey show. Storm D says, don't forget everyone, Nick takes hentai NFTs as compensation. Francis Chartrand says, so this is captured. Nick equals Marsha. Good Logic is Carol. Legal Mindset is Greg. Ron is Jen. Viva is Alice. Lol. Legal Bites is Peter. Nate is Cindy. Barnes is Mike. And Emily is Bobby. So there you go. Sean T says, how do you feel about the claim that Kyle racked his gun, implying he would have shot Gage already? I see no evidence of that on video. Why didn't the defense push back on that? Kyle was pointing at Gabe. I think they just didn't want to draw a bunch of attention to it in light of everything else that was going wrong with Gage's testimony. It's not backed up by video, like you said. They don't see it. And I think on cross, they're going to say, you can see the video. You can see the video. You can see the video. That's what you can see. You hear it a bunch of testimony, but you could see it on video. I think they're just going to keep pounding on the fact that they have the visual evidence. Rob Price, I read $20 super chats first and then the rest as we go. So that's why I'm still way behind on the early shows, and I'm about done because I got to go to sleep. Robert Marley says 108 NAMBLA members dislike this stream. Multiplat Dad says, would y'all's billable hours together equal 1 hour of Kyle's defense? Our billable hours together when we had 10 lawyers on the stream would have probably been more than Kyle's defense. I'm guessing. I'm hoping. Way hoping. You're talking about billable hours in Kenosha or even Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Probably not very high. Ron Coleman and Joe Neerman, they practice in New York, or I think both of them. That's going to increase the fees pretty significantly. Tara Rayner says, lucrative business proposition that would be, in my opinion, more popular than your legal briefs. Let me know. Haha. Oh, no. Jackson Kai says, wait, Tara, so wait, you have a lucrative business proposition more popular than legal briefs? How do I contact you? Can you email me? Jackson Kai says, about someone losing protections of being a minor when you turn 18. My friend was 17, had his right to a lawyer waived by his parents, then was charged as an adult at trial a year later. Always felt that seemed wrong. That is really, really wrong. Miss Moonbear says, I heart Grampy Judge with his good old days stories. Me too. Joe Davis, thanks for the donation. Grintalk says, chai, everyone, great coverage. Matt Hagen says 30,000 once he leaves. That's how much people like you. Wolfgang Dale says Cherkun is best. Keep Nick from blocking Cherkun. Phoenix Ammunition read that one. Joe Davis says, who did the facepalm better, the state's attorney or Captain Picard? Picard. Low Pro says the stream is now Lawhammer 30,000. Anton Dennison says the judge looks like Jeffrey Tambor. Charles Fisher says he looks like Carl Reiner, Viva. And then Giggles and Bits says judge looks like Alan Alda. And Larkin says 31,000 watching and only 13,000 likes. Let's fix that. Lynn says law nerd representing Hart. Love you, Emily. John Bass says, can the defense move for dismissal at any time? No, they have to do it either at the end of the prosecution's case or the end of both cases. Why would they call a witness if they plan to move? They chose to not move to dismiss after the prosecution's case because, as Barnes was explaining, if they move for dismissal, they don't, and they introduce new evidence, they destroy their ability to appeal if they fail the dismissal. So it's a mess. Mag says, get Nick to 200,000 subs by subscribing and help beat the YouTube algorithm by hitting the like button. And whew, we made it through 400 of them. I think. Yeah, not bad. Not bad. There's still many to go. But that's a good problem to have for me. Where did it go? I lost my spot. Was it? There it is. Okay. Well, guys, I've got to go to bed. If I did not get to super chats, I do apologize. I am, like I said, trying to keep up, but just there's not enough hours in the day. I don't know what to do. This is a tough thing for me because one of the things I've prided myself on is always addressing the chats. So I am working on that. I'll see if I can figure something else out. Maybe some a recording I could put together rather than a stream, but I have no idea. Tomorrow, I'm gonna make the link right as this show ends. I will make the link for tomorrow's trial show. 8:45 is when I start. The trial itself starts at 9. And Relic One, the only problem with waiting till the weekend is I'm trying to keep up with them as they come in, as they're relevant to the day, because this is time sensitive trial, but it may have to happen that way because I just don't know how else to do it. But anyway, show will start 8:45 a.m. Central Time. Trial hearing will start sometime around 9 a.m. Central Time. We will have a law panel assembled throughout the day, and we'll just keep going with it. I will try to rein everybody in on talking over the testimony as best we can. We do want to add commentary, but we also want to hear what's happening on the stream. Thank you guys for coming and supporting these shows, and supporting this show in general. And again, if you are new here, I welcome you. I warn you, you will likely hear things on this show that are offensive and that you don't like. And that is a good thing. That is a good thing. And you should embrace that as much as possible, in my opinion. But if you do not, that is also okay. So, all right, guys. Thanks a bunch. I hope you have a good night. I will see you in the morning. Peace. Peace.
Your Honor, I'm pretty sure we have a mistrial here, sir.
I'm gonna mistrial my foot up your ass. You don't shut up.